With war rolling Atlas dog, we here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast, we breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up, we won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast, where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas dog, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Joe open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas thugs, fearless in our release. Joe open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
Yo, yo, yo. I think you guys can actually hear me today. Let me know in the comments, and just to make sure. But Atlas can hear me, so at least we're off to that good of a start.
Yo,
What's
not
up,
late
man?
either.
What was
Doing
that?
well. So
Oh,
doing well. We're not late either.
Oh yeah, right
A
on
lot of
time.
news today. Right. No, but a lot of news today, man. From trying to follow it while I was at work too. Last night I was more kind of captivated by the fact that the Florida AG was opening a case onto the Tate Brothers, which I thought was kind of insane after the Ron DeSantis kind of thing. To then watching the
Oh, yeah.
address a little bit in pieces here and there. Then you saw Jeremy Boring going back and forth with Jason Whitlock in a public spat, and then you have Ian Carroll breaking through, going on Joe Rogan, on top of everything going on. So there's a lot to get into.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I missed the whole Jeremy Boring, Jason Whitlock thing. And, you know, I started off watching the speech over on the Daily Wire's channel, and I ended up switching over to Tim Pool's. I don't know. I just liked it the way that he commentaried over it better than what the, like they did on the Daily Wire, they cut to a pre-recorded ad of Ben Shapiro standing there reading whatever ad it was, and it was just meh. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was like, I'd rather hear Tim Pool advertise and try to sell his skateboards or whatever than I don't know. I'm not a Ben Shapiro fan for whatever reason. I can't
Same.
explain it. I can't explain it, but
Don't got to tell me twice. I could explain it.
yeah. Well, we know who his favorite country is, so that's a start. But TNT Cycles made the comment before the show started, I can't get rid of this MAGA boner from last night's speech. I may need to see a doctor. Well, it's been almost 24 hours, so yeah, you're definitely gonna need to get that checked out professionally there, TNT. I see Andrea's here, TNT. Mad News Now. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Drawing a blank on your first name right now for some reason. I can't believe it. I feel bad because
Shame.
yeah. But he actually might. I've talked to him a little bit. He has his own channel, and he might actually come on as a guest one of these days soon. I can't believe I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. John Crawford. John Crawford. Yeah. His channel used to be John Crawford. Something John Crawford with his name, and now it's Mad News Now. I think the YouTube's got him caught up on some stuff. He had to start his channel over, but not sure. We'll have to find out. But yeah, man, it's good to see you, John. Sorry, I forgot your name, dude. I feel like an asshole. Oh.
Yeah, it would be nice to have you on, brother.
Yeah. So it's good to have everybody here. We got a lot of stuff to get into tonight. As you mentioned, the Jason Whitlock, Jeremy Boring thing, which I missed the entire thing. So this is going to be fun for me to explore. The YouTube killed you. Yeah, that sucks, man. Hopefully your new channel picks up some steam. It kind of seemed like it was stagnated at that subscriber count that you were at before. So maybe this new one will do better, but we'll see. I do like your commentary and stuff like that. Hey, what's up, JB? And then the crazy thing about the Florida AG opening the investigation into the Tate brothers is that we finished out the last show, or mentioned in the last show, that I thought that DeSantis was going to need to come out and basically apologize.
Right.
The Tates are not charged with a crime here in the United States, and certainly not like, certainly not what's it called? Declared guilty by the court of law, whatever that's called. I can't think of it.
Convicted. Yeah, found
Convicted.
guilty.
Yeah, certainly not convicted. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's funny because they posted a meme, and I can't remember who said it. I can't remember the name of the guy now. But it's Stalin. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
Yeah.
Kind of showing this kind of backwards, guilty until proven innocent vibe that we're getting with how the Tates are being handled. And I actually saw a great response from Tristan Tate about 30 minutes ago too. Put something online, and I thought that was phenomenal. And we'll get into that too. But just overall, just a lot of things happening in Florida that's not American. I don't really know what's going on. From Ron DeSantis now to the AG to, and I'll say it for the millionth time, we got women that are not performing what they should be up to par. That extends to Pam Bondi at the AG position. And then what we saw with Amy Coney Barrett, with what she did with her decision with the Supreme Court today to actually go against Donald Trump and to ensure that we would be sending the $2 billion that was, I believe it was currently frozen, but they forced it to be unfrozen to be sent out. Now, a little bit with that too, though, is some things were actually already completed. So some of that money would have had to have gotten sent out. Otherwise, they would have sued for the fact that they did complete work and were not paid for it. But regardless, so here I am, Atlas, for the millionth time, telling you women shouldn't be in these positions as they lead up all of them.
Cracks me up. But yeah, Pam Bondi, she started off hot. She no pun intended there. She started off hot on a nice little streak, and then this whole Epstein thing, which is something that she was in charge of when she was AG of Florida, and I always want to say district attorney instead of AG. I don't know why. It's like my brain flip flops the two. But anyways, all the Epstein stuff happened when she was AG of Florida, and now she's kind of messing up the release of it on like the national scale. It's kind of like, you got to wonder.
There's a kitchen called somewhere in Florida she's supposed to be at.
But now that the new Florida AG, and I'm not even sure who the person is.
I think it's like John Utmeyer, I think is his name.
Is it James Utmeyer?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Anyways, it's just so weird. Like, why would, I don't know. I mean, they're just, like you said, show me the man, I'll show you the crime. And it's like, that's what they're trying to do to Tate. We have Tate's response. We have his brother's response. Crazy, wild stuff. You know what I mean? Something you wouldn't expect as an American coming home to your home country after being basically blocked from leaving the country you were stuck in for couple few years, like they have been. It's not very good welcoming party as you would have expected. But hey, what's up, Marcus? Alt Companion House. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, brother, good to see everybody in here. I saw a no, it's not safe for YouTube. I saw a really rough post from Seth Dillon, and man, it was one of the most effeminate gay slop things I've ever read in my life. And it was him saying that all these people who keep platforming the Tates, like, they're the reason that they're the bigger problem behind this, and the Tate brothers just use this being attacked by the Matrix narrative to draw up all these things. And then you look at it and it's like, you mean to tell me the guys who are saying they're being attacked by the Matrix, who were held in Romania for what, 2.5 years, over and over and over again, with no evidence to be found, the case gets dismissed. They are actually held on their bail conditions, even regardless of the fact they had no evidence. Then they come here to America, and we open an investigation into them when they've not been convicted of a crime. It's like, this by definition is like the system trying to find something to get you for. And
Right.
Seth Dillon comes out because obviously, with Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers don't like Ben Shapiro's favorite country. And I would imagine that's why we're seeing a lot of what we're getting with too. I think that's reaching a peak point there. But to
Yes.
just see these kind of it's the same kind of actors over and over again, just trying to drive home the narrative with a very easily swayed audience. And it's just super disappointing, especially as somebody who, 3 years ago, I liked a lot of what the Babylon Bee did with their articles and the satire they did. But again, they just get driven by one issue, and then you get these kind of sad, pathetic posts by them.
Yeah, definitely. We also we're going to talk about the big Trump speech and the Democrats' reaction last night. We got tons of stuff, tons of news. I love midweek. Saturdays it slows down, but midweek, man, there's too much to talk about.
Right.
Rep. Anna Paulina Luna refers 4 Democrat mayors to the DOJ. I'm willing to bet that you guys can name a couple of them just off the top of your heads. Trump issues a last warning to Hamas, which that just broke about an hour ago, and we'll show you that post that he put out there on X and True Social. Ian Carroll went on Joe Rogan, and we got to be careful about covering that because Joe Rogan copyrights everything, but there's some stuff that we can show and talk about.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Thomas Massey continues to be the standalone, seemingly pretty much only sole America First individual in Congress. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We got a couple posts that he sent out as well. Let's see here. Oh yeah, guys, make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. Let people know, let the algorithm know that you enjoy this content and you enjoy the show. And that's the best way that you can help contribute. Congress. What is this one? Let's see here. Congress addresses theater. Elon Musk controversy continues. I don't know what that one is. You want to elaborate on that one a little bit?
Yeah, it's just the basically, in short, I just added that in there too because not only did we get everything with just the rabid kind of TDS that still exists, and part of the reason, and I didn't even watch the full address, to be fully transparent there, but we're still getting the same Elon kind of attacks, right? The same, he's co-president, he's all of these things, right? People are very mad that we didn't elect Elon, and I just think it's pretty funny. I think a lot of it's just a lot of theater.
Yeah, the
this is especially
TDS.
what you would imagine. Well, I was just going to say that this is what the Democrats have to do now because they have literally no power right now. So they just have to make sure they're getting all their talking points and narrative stuff out. It's the same old stuff we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks.
Right. The TDS and the EDS have combined to a new form of sickness.
Right.
My buddy in the group chat, man, he goes from one to the other. As soon as you shoot down the one argument, he goes right to the other one. But this, but that, and it's just like, homie, you have to reassess your whole life. He was so bold today, actually, as to say that 2 of us out of the 9 people that are in our group chat won't have a job by the end of the year, and he's blaming Elon for it. It's just funny because most of us work for ourselves, but that aside,
you talk like you got a face mask on, brother.
right? But I can't hear you. You're muffled by the 6 face mask you have on. But TNT Cycles mentions having lost my wife to cancer. I couldn't believe the Dems didn't put aside their rabid TDS to cheer for that young man that had brain cancer. That really dug deep into my hateful side. Yeah, man. As always, we're sorry for your loss. And yeah, that's the Democrats aren't doing anything to win the American people over right now. Right now, they're basically the anti-Trump side, and anti-Elon, which of course, 77 million people, 77 million Americans, which by the way, there's more people that voted for Donald Trump than there is population of Ukraine. If that says anything to you, I don't know. I just find that significant considering when Trump makes these decisions to Ukraine about Ukraine and their funding, that literally more people voted for Donald Trump to get us out of that war, into that war, than citizens that live inside the country. And half of that, it actually represents half of Russia's population. I believe they're about 140 million, but I could be wrong. I looked it up last week, and yeah, the Democrats are also the side that wants to tax you. They're the side of war. They're the side of the gay, tranny, fringe, trans your kids, that whole thing. It's just like, you guys aren't doing anything to win the American people over that are suffering and struggling just to pay their bills and to buy groceries and eat. I mean, it's just so crazy that these people just, they have nothing right now. I mean, their party is basically in shambles, in my opinion. And I like, none of them can even explain why they support the war in Ukraine. You know what I mean? It's like, I asked a simple question today to my friend in the group chat. I was like, well, could you at least tell us why we're in the war and what we have to gain? And it mean, just crickets. So it's just like, yeah, they don't know. They just know anti-Trump, anti-Putin, anti-Elon, and that's it. I mean, it's just a cult, right? The rules come from the top, and then they follow it.
But yeah, well, we also got like with what's her name, Riley Gaines.
Yeah, got some stuff.
People attacking her, right? You're like, oh, she's just mad because she lost to a guy, and like all these other kind of weird attacks too. And I saw a great post from Seamus, and it was like, yeah, it's almost like she isn't doing this for herself. In fact, she's standing up for other women who may have been affected by this. Now I will say one moment that got me. I mean, I was like dying laughing because when I tuned into it, I actually was watching it from everybody's favorite gay Mexican. So I now watched it. I literally turned it into a couple of different points. And at one point, he's just making fun of, how ugly he thinks JD Vance is. But the second point that I thought was hilarious that he had made was the fact that when they went to the other girl who was affected by it, because she had her face fractured and was paralyzed on one side, because she had a volleyball spike so hard into her face by a trained man. That part was just like, it was just funny. Like, I mean, like, I know, like, obviously it's like bad, and if you want to feel bad, but it's like, you think about it, right? It's like if someone let a grown man on a court. It's like from a movie. It's like from a Hollywood movie.
Right.
Some grown man got on a court and like smashed a volleyball into this girl's face. It's like we have to legislate laws because no one was able to be a capable human being before that ever occurred to not let a grown man play with women. And it's like, you can say idiocracy, but it's a little bit worse than that.
Yeah, it is worse than that. And to even take it a step further was Donald Trump had to make the statement that there's two genders in America and it's male and female. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. You can't believe you just had to say that. And it was received with applause. Like, that just shows the significance in actual how important it is in the culture right now, which is pathetic. It's insane. Right. Thankfully, we can move forward from here. Hopefully, we can leave all that in the past and never revisit it, right? But we'll see. I mean, the way the Democrats are acting right now, they're not going to have any power anytime soon, and they're on pace to lose the midterms, at least as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you're a Democrat voter, you really need to rethink your entire life and what you've been told. I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely out of control.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I find myself maybe too far in advance. Also, that comment from House is hilarious. I find myself like too far in advance, right? Because for me, it's like the way that I see it in the most pragmatic sense is like, well, Democrats have no power. It's like I'm more concerned like with what we're doing currently. So it's like I'm like trying to fight like amongst like the neocons that are still in existence, as well as all the other kind of influences that I don't think should be there. Same kind of fight you see Thomas Massey put up with the kind of, fighting the system itself. That I kind of lose sight of the fact that some people can only see so far, especially when you only have so much time to dedicate to getting news and such. I'm pretty reminded by that from a lot of friends I speak with who are, at least a little bit politically affiliated, but there is still a population of people who are still kind of tuned into like the very, Democrat versus Republican. And not to say that it's bad, but just to say, sometimes I gotta recheck myself, because some people are still looking at it as if like we are still fighting some of this bad stuff from the Democrats, and I'm looking so far ahead of like I want to make sure we get this, and this, and this, and this from our administration. Because to me, it's like Democrats, like they lost in November. Like, who cares? Like, they're powerless for 4 years. So I kind of look ahead and I'm like, what can we get done and push forward with our guys?
Yeah, 100%. Another thing to note last night, which is this is something that I like seeing Trump address, considering it's a critique that we have sent multiple times, in that he called for and kind of kind of explained it's why the deportations have gone so slow. The process has gone so slow. And apparently there's a bunch of legal things that they got to get all kind of their ducks in a row before they actually can move on this whole mass deportations project. But he did declare that he wants to deport more people than anyone in any president in history. And so it hasn't become secondary to Trump. I was concerned that he was going to lock down the border, which is something that we needed. Obviously, we needed to stop the bleeding, but now we need to pump the stomach, right? We need to get the bad stuff out, and that is the illegal immigrants essentially out of our country. And I was thinking that maybe he was going to call it good, or not prioritize the deportations and just focus on, look, we stopped the inflow. We'll be able to show these numbers, these inflow numbers, and that'll tide some people over for a while. But it looks like coming soon, hopefully, the deportations will escalate and ramp up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Well, I really hope so. I've actually seen some accounts that are very like anti-dissident right that have come forward and said, yeah, I think a couple of you guys are right. We're not getting these yet. But one thing with that too, a lot of times, the morality of, just subjective morality doesn't line up with the legal system sometimes. And a good case of that was like Jeff Younger. Jeff Younger being told specific things in relation to his kids. Obviously, if he wouldn't have disobeyed some of these orders and taken steps into his own hands, who knows how far along his child would be transed and be changing genders and getting hormone therapy. So I think that, you can stretch that to a lot of different scenarios. And I think this would apply here too. Same thing when you look at the way the Supreme Court also ordered, to force us to pay, $2 billion and unfreeze all these funds, even though the administration in power doesn't want to do so. There comes a certain point then where you have to make that choice, that decision. Do you just follow the legal process, or you go, actually, no, the right thing to do is this, regardless of what the system says? And then I pair that with the fact that anytime the Democrats are in power, they don't give a shit what the legal process is. They literally abuse it and destroy it every single time.
Yep.
So this is what holds the right wing back. At a certain point, you have to play the game the way it's played. Otherwise, you're just always going to lose. And so I always come from a bit more radical perspective of like, who cares what Amy Coney Barrett wanted to do to be the deciding vote in that factor? Same way I would look at mass deportations. Like, who cares? Like sign up Eric Prince, give him the $25 billion, take some of that USAID money, send it to Eric Prince, privatize the entire thing, start pumping them out right now. To me, there's a lot of, I would definitely go a lot further than what our legal process definitely is, because when you look at the judges across the nation too, it's hard to respect them. A lot of them who are even in power are a lot of activists, and it's like, we all know this. So at a certain point, you gotta ask yourself, like, well, then who really cares, right? Like, who are we appealing to? The American people want this, but everyone we have to go through is this raging twink who is an activist in power, BLM and stuff. It's like, at a certain point, you just go, it doesn't even matter, guys. Like, we're doing it regardless. Like, let's go ahead and get this taken care of. And that's kind of where I sit at, and that's what I wish the energy would be there for that too.
Yeah, for sure. So let's which one do you want to talk about first? The Supreme Court halting the $2 billion in foreign aid.
Yeah, it's a good one to start with.
Because we kind of alluded to it a little bit already. So let's see here. So the Supreme Court has ruled 5-4 against Trump administration's request to block nearly $2 billion in foreign aid payments, affirming a lower court's order. This decision means that funds previously allocated to USAID contractors must be disbursed. The dissenting justices, led by Alito, argued that the majority's ruling gives too much unchecked power to a single district court judge, potentially undermining executive authority and the separation of powers. So, I assume the dissenting judges would be the 4 that lost, right? And Alito leading that, saying that, hey, why is a lower court judge dictating this to us?
Yeah, it was Alito, Thomas, Kavanaugh, and Roberts, I believe, were the four who lost, and then the 5 includes, Amy Coney Barrett, and who cares about the liberal ones? But Amy Coney Barrett's catching all the flack because she was a Trump appointee. But every chance that she has literally had has been going against Donald Trump. Now, what's crazy, and I don't know if you had caught this either because it was going viral. I actually have it, and I can share it on screen here too. There's this crazy video that people have been sharing where she kind of has like this very like ridiculous kind of crazed look in her eyes when she sees Trump walk past her.
Oh, I see. I got it right here. Actually, I'll put it on the screen.
I mean, you can just kind of catch that feeling about her when she. Roberts was there. I'm forgetting who the fourth person was that was in there. Alito, Kavanaugh, Thomas, and I'm blanking on the fourth one. But yeah.
I don't know. I don't got them memorized. I know Ketanji Jackson was against it.
Right. Yeah. Well, she barely even qualifies to be a human being, let alone a judge.
Right. So this is the video that you're talking about right here. Let me make it bigger.
Yeah.
I don't think it has any audio, but yeah, she's got that look in her eye. She looked at him, looked away. Yeah, that says a lot. You know what I mean? That's messed up too because he appointed her. Like,
well, it's one of those looks where
asshole.
It took so much like social and mental power to put on a smile that like the moment he wasn't looking at her, she was like, I hate that guy. Like that's exactly the kind of vibe that I get from that.
Right. And the smile was hardly even a smile, right? That's like a frown that she was trying to smile. Look at that. Pathetic, man. Ungrateful, man. I hate people like that. But Ron DeSantis actually responded and said, Justice Alito is right. The liberal district judge has no authority to order POTUS Trump to send billions of dollars overseas. The Supreme Court missed a huge opportunity to put a stop to rogue district courts interfering with executive branch operations. Now this decision gives a green light to every resistance judge to throw sand in the gears of the president's Article 2 authority. So DeSantis is either hot or cold, right? I mean, the dude is either completely off or he nails it. And I think he nails it right here because this opens the floodgates to a whole bunch of new stuff coming in from lower court judges and lower level judges or whatever. And it's going to really, it's going to halt a lot of things awaiting, like the $2 billion in this case was in escrow or whatever until it was decided by the Supreme Court. Well, that's going to put a lot of things in escrow until the Supreme Court can rule, and that halts progress. You know what I mean? That's like essentially serving the Chinese Communist Party with every, the way that they attack the United States. Even if they can slow down, commerce for an hour, when you add it up across the board, that's a lot of days, weeks, that we failed to advance. You know what I mean? And so it's that fifth generational type of warfare that we hear about sometimes. And this is going to come from inside of our government, basically as a result of the Supreme Court voting with a lower judge. And I do get your point. There's contractors that, and not that you were standing with them, but I do understand the point that you made, that a lot of these contractors had done the work. So like they deserve to be paid for it. I don't know what the work was, but as a former contractor myself, I would feel pretty jaded if I did a bunch of work, had a staff, and paid my people, and then all of a sudden the government makes a change and I'm not getting my cut on the at the end of the deal. You know what I mean? Right. I get that. So that's
well, it opens it up for like litigation, right? It's like if we promised it, then we don't do it. And then all these jobs, and who knows what they are too. They probably are like the most insanely ridiculous jobs ever done. Like we built a stage for a trans opera somewhere, like, who knows what it actually was. But it makes it like, it would make it messier than need be. But like in no way do I mean like, that's definitely why we should.
Sure.
I would argue like, in fact, you just go back and look on an individual basis to see what work was completed, pay that out, and the rest gets frozen and then or just entirely deleted.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, I totally agree.
This is like Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, she was always a check the box DEI hire for Donald Trump. This has been his MO. He's been putting a lot of women in positions of power when he otherwise could have had other people there too.
Right.
Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I do remember when earlier in the confirmation period too, there's a lot of other things that kind of floated around her, and I can't remember because it's been a minute since she actually got put in and confirmed.
Yeah.
People were upset even at the time when she got put in. I can't remember who she got put in over. I'm struggling. I'm blanking on the name there too.
Oh,
But
I
I do
don't know
appreciate
it.
it. House said Neil Gorsuch was the 4th judge.
Yeah, thank you for that, House. The local resident encyclopedia slash the thesaurus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, literally.
Evil Elmo mentions that trying to find where in the Constitution it says we must give foreign aid. Yeah, I mean that simply states it right there.
You know what that makes me think of?
What's that?
Have you seen that Sam Hyde like clip?
No,
Uh,
I don't
uh,
see much from Sam Hyde. He doesn't come across my feed on X, and I don't follow him anywhere
oh,
else.
it's so good. It's a different country, but he's talking about. He's like, what are you talking about? It says right here, in I don't remember what he says. He's like, it says in my Bible, 1 Samuel chapter 2, thou shalt send missiles to Israel. Actually, no, again, yeah, thou shalt send missiles to Israel. It's funny because he's just making a point. Like it's nowhere, dude. Nowhere does it say we need to send all this foreign aid out to people.
Right. And so then I added this one in here. This is Thomas Massey responding to Charlie Kirk, who not broke the story, but posted breaking: the Supreme Court has ruled that President Trump must unfreeze 1.9 billion in foreign USAID payments. Unbelievable. Justice Samuel Alito blast the majority, with Justice Thomas Gorsuch and Kavanaugh joining in dissent. Quote, does a single district court judge who likely lacks jurisdiction have the unchecked power to compel the government of the United States to pay out and probably lose forever $2 billion in taxpayer dollars? The answer to that question should be an emphatic no, but a majority of this court apparently thinks otherwise. I am stunned. And it's pretty ridiculous how polarized the Supreme Court has actually become, especially considering how disloyal Amy Coney Barrett has actually been in this process. Everybody was concerned from the left that Donald Trump is going to appoint all the Supreme Court justices, and they were trying to add like 4 more seats, and they were trying to dissolve it and do anything they could because they feared the Republican majority. And what do you know? One of the Republicans appointed by Trump has ruled against Trump multiple times. It's pretty crazy, but she's basically a Democrat on the court right now in the Supreme Court. I think she's ruled against him a few times lately. But Thomas Massey responded and said the solution to this problem is obvious. Congress must quit sending the damn money to USAID. Republicans now control the House and Senate, yet here we are facing a vote on a continuing resolution next week that would fund everything in 2025 as it was funded in 2024. The only guy in Congress that's speaking any kind of sense to the American people, Thomas Massey. And I mean, who would have thought that they would pass, or even it would even be on the table, passing a continuing resolution in 2025 that would basically mirror Biden's 2024 continuing resolution. I mean, these people in Congress are completely tone deaf. And yeah, he's right. Congress must quit sending the damn money to USAID in the first place. They don't have it to spend, then it can't be spent on these bullshit programs.
Right. Well, with Thomas Massey in particular, like a side point here on him individually is, for one, he's been on a tear recently, but that's why he does get the flack from people like Gunther Eagleman and DC Drano, some of those kind of very similar reply guys there. But he is pointing out the fact that the Republicans are speaking out of one side of their mouth and then doing the other on the other hand, especially when it does come to the continuing resolution and what they continually keep funding and voting to fund for. So much so that actually Scott Horton, he had reported, not sure if he was the main one who had reported it, but that's who I saw it from, the fact that the Republican Jewish Coalition CEO, Matt Brooks, told Jewish Insider if Tom Massey chooses to enter the race for U.S. Senate in Kentucky, the RJC campaign budget to ensure he is defeated will be unlimited. So they're already preemptively, because Thomas Massey has floated the idea to making another move to a different position there in Congress. I think namely most people were saying, go to the Senate. We want you to be in the Senate, have a more powerful position than where you're at currently. That now you're getting all of these, them boys coming out and then saying, yeah, we'll spend as much money as humanly possible to get him out of there. Now that's insane to me. That also does speak to the fact of, again, lobbying is just one of the things that makes our political system a very toxic environment to be in. But it's the neocon system kind of reacting to the fact that Thomas Massey will refuse to back down.
Yeah.
And so I can only wish him the best there. I think he is only one of the few politicians who has actually ever defeated that lobby in particular.
Right.
You know, they put a lot of money into the campaigns against people, especially if they're not pro a specific thing.
Right. Well, he not to cut you off, but I can just tell you real quick that he told Tucker Carlson a while back that he is one of the only members of he is the only member of the Republican Party in Congress that doesn't have an AIPAC agent assigned to him. And not to say that these two things are connected, I would never suggest that, but his wife died shortly after that. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think that's just
talking
a fair
about
question
we spare no expense, but you know, maybe it even goes beyond that. I don't know. It's a pretty crazy scenario that doesn't make certain people look good. I can tell you that much. Evil Elmo makes
it beloved by everybody until that day, right? He went on Tucker Carlson, and then he had that episode, and all of a sudden now there's like a growing anti-Thomas Massey group voice that's inside the Republican Party. And before that day, I would have thought he was everyone's number one favorite politician, no matter what, even of neocons too. Right. He was so vocally just there. He was kind of like the heir apparent to the Rand Paul, even though they're kind of similar in age, though. But at least we both have both of them. And now you're seeing this, and now you see again from Scott Horton with not just AIPAC obviously going to be going against them, but the fact that the RJC is going to be going against them too.
Right.
It begs to question again, like you had said, you know, is it connected? Like, especially when it comes with that heart attack there, but the timing was just so coincidental. It's a fair question to ask, right? I mean,
right.
We know how kind of influential they are.
Yeah, it's newsworthy, worth mentioning. Not making any assumptions or drawing any connections, right? Evil Elmo makes a comment here. It makes it worse that we are borrowing money to pay for this crap. We are broke, 100%. And then TNT follows that up and says, imagine how much interest we're going to pay for this bullshit. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of interest on $2 billion. That's for sure. $1.9 billion. I like this one here. Evil Elmo says, can we just get rid of USAID? Maybe give them an envelope that says evidence against Hillary Clinton. I like that. That's really funny. Steve Splenda is in the house. What up, all? Just left Mass. Happy Ash Wednesday. Praise Jesus the Christ. What's up, Steve, man? Yes, definitely. Praise Jesus Christ is King. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. According to his these boys don't mess around. Yeah, that's for sure.
Right.
And so we have this other one here, this other article from Thomas Massey continues to stand against the entire system. Israel lobby will campaign against him with no financial limits. It's kind of what you basically just mentioned. But the U.S. Representative Thomas Massey has recently opposed a government spending bill leading to a potential government shutdown. As reported by various news outlets, his stance has also stirred controversy with groups like the Republican Jewish Coalition, who have vowed to block his potential Senate run. Amidst this, President Trump has pardoned Ross Ulbricht, who was Massey's guest at the State of the Union address, highlighting Massey's influence and controversial positions in legislative and political spheres, which the pardoning of Ross Ulbricht was a huge campaign promise that Trump delivered to the libertarians. It doesn't affect me as much. I don't really care who Ross Ulbricht is or what it was. I think he was like
he's the founder of the Silk Road.
Okay. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a big deal for libertarians. Trump went and did that speech there at the Libertarian Party where they booed him, and Dave Smith even said some negative stuff about him, which he's come around. But I can tell you that Trump promised that day that he would pardon Ross Ulbricht, and he delivered. Another campaign promise secured. So
yeah, well, the Silk Road. What's crazy is the fact of I actually did a huge project on this when I was in college, actually, because I was like had like a little minor there in underground economics. And what's insane with the Silk Road case there with Ross Ulbricht, and the reason why he did get a few life sentences, is the fact that they were charging him with the crimes that other people had committed on the website. Now, if people aren't familiar, it's it's called like the dark web, but more accurately, it's called the deep web. They had these kind of like onion browsers or like onion torrents. Forget the actual jargon there. It's been a while since I looked at it. But in particular, a way to access the internet that you didn't have to go through Firefox or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome or any of those browsers back in the day. Just a way that you could open the internet, and essentially was an extreme free market form of the internet. Now, there were some extremely awful things that did exist on the deep web. The Silk Road in particular being one of the sides of it, but namely it was a place where you could go and buy and purchase many illegal drugs. I forget the full extent of what was able to be done on the Silk Road, but obviously because he founded it and created it and developed it, they charged him for the crimes of what other people had committed on there. So libertarians took it up as it should have then definitely been a legal thing to have been able to make, not have to go outside the bounds, but he made a free internet aspect. But yeah, obviously the legality of like, should that be okay, et cetera, et cetera. The part's more symbolic on the fact of his sentence was way too harsh based on the fact that they charged him for crimes of other people instead of something that he did himself. They essentially used the crimes the other people committed to pin him in a kind of a corner there.
Right. And I think the crimes other people were committing were they were basically selling illegal drugs and all kinds of stuff on that dark web that he had created, right? Or am I thinking of like something?
Yeah, so he created a I don't know if the website's the right term, but he created a URL that you could go to, which was the Silk Road. So it was a part of the deep web. The deep web had many disgusting things on it. There were places like on the deep web that you could go where you could pay. I mean, some of the most terrifying stuff I've ever seen. People would kidnap homeless people, and you could send donations while they were all on camera. And these guys who had these homeless people kidnapped, you would pay, and they would do whatever you asked them. So if you paid, $100,
Gotcha.
The guys would like stab them in the eye or something, or like inject them with a specific drug, and things like that. So there were some very dark things in the deep web.
That crazy and nasty. I'd known, like, I never really messed with it. I had a friend tell me about it, and he had purchased some stuff to make ayahuasca off of it, and that was all I knew really about it. And so I was like, okay, well, that's pretty wild. I'm definitely not going on that. You had to have like a VPN and like all this other stuff to even like access it in the first place. So it seemed like it was pretty shady, but I don't know, right? Libertarians are pretty free and open when it comes to that type of stuff, live free, live hard, whatever. And so I get it why they want, and this does seem like such, he wasn't perpetrating the crimes. He kind of invented the platform or was a part of the platform where the other stuff was on. So they kind of tried to pin a bunch of bad stuff on him. And, so, good on Trump for pardoning him. That was like I said, a campaign promise that was delivered. Let's see here. Maybe that's what happened to my first friend, Tom, on MySpace. That's pretty funny, Evil Elmo.
Well, there was definitely human trafficking that was happening on the deep web. I'm not sure if it was particularly happening on Silk Road. But ultimately, with it being so free form that you could have a picture of something, right? You could be like, I'm selling 2 pictures of these Monster energy drinks, but in reality, it would just become code for, I'm selling two children, right? And it's like that kind of like, that's what ended up, taking hold of it.
Obviously, like kind of Wayfair type vibes. Yeah, TNT, Jinx. yeah, Wayfair like vibes there.
But like All Companion said, when most people who I'd known who had used it was exactly for that. It was for LSD, through acid tabs or for shrooms. That's who I'd known what they were using it for. In most particular, a lot of college kids were into it as well as an easy access to be able to, start being able to sell while you're on campus and university.
Right. Yeah, TNT, you're totally right. $30K for a bookshelf named Mary. That's the same name as a missing kid. Yeah, that was some crazy stuff going on there for a while. Can't believe Wayfair is actually still around. I don't know how they made it through that, but Congressman Massey, he responded to this and said that Congress just stood up and applauded Doge for exposed waste and fraudulent programs that Congress itself funded. and plans to fund the coming CR. So he's riding this one hard. He said even in another post, "Thank you, President Trump, for freeing Ross Ulbricht. He's my guest at the State of the Union. I was honored to give him a debt badge at dinner tonight." I don't know what a debt badge is, but I kind of want one.
It's the device. So Thomas Massey's an engineer, and he made that device that shows the debt clock on it.
Oh, okay.
I think he just kind of hands them out. I don't know if you can buy
kind of
them.
want one. I wish I had one like sitting back here or something like that.
Yeah, it shows the debt going up.
Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, Thomas Massey, he's out there, he's doing stuff. So let's move on here to this. We'll talk about the Florida AG opens up the investigation into the Tate brothers. We'll briefly cover this, and then let's get into the Trump speech. I don't want to bury the lead on that one for too long, because man, that was it was epic, man. I just feel like Trump capped off his first month as president, his first, I guess, his 6 weeks as president, with an epic speech. And some of it I will admit, some of it became a little repetitive from some of the things that he was mentioning during his rallies, specifically when he's talking about victims of crimes like Laken Riley, the volleyball situation that you mentioned earlier, and stuff like that. But it was good that he did bring it back up, because the longer the Democrats sat on their hands and didn't applaud, the more they look like assholes. Like Al Green was thrown out right at the beginning. He's the one that he always shakes his cane. He's got the cane with like the golden fist on it, right? So he's always like throwing up the black, or not the black fist, but like, yeah, he is the black fist, right? It's the was it the Black Panthers, or is it the Communist Party or whatever, the fist or whatever? That's the way I always see it when he's putting his cane up in the air.
Is it a Black Panther symbol? Is that what
I can't remember what it is, but he's always throwing it up like that, and it's just the way I see it, and the way I vision it. And he got kicked out for saying a bunch of crap, and he's not the best dude, but he's also the guy that has already submitted impeachment documents to try to impeach Donald Trump already, right? From this, I mean, exactly what we expected. The communist salute. Yeah, thank you, TNT. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Al Green, the Dems pimp. Yeah, that's right. Mad news. But let's see here. Candace Owens. We'll start off with the Candace Owens comment here. This isn't what we showed the other day, right? No. So Candace Owens, imagine Trump landing in New York, leftists freaking out about his presence on X, and then the governor capitulating to their outrage with a press conference announcing that Trump isn't welcome in New York, complete with a promise that he will direct the state attorney general to investigate him. Fast forward a couple of days later, and the state AG announces that he obliged the governor and opened a preliminary, followed by an outright criminal investigation into Trump and all of his businesses. This is what just went down in Florida. This did not happen organically. DeSantis was urged to do this by neocons and his big pocket donors, and he executed accordingly. That was in response to this person, Christopher Perkins, who posted, "I do not like the Tates, but unless they have actually broken the law in a few But unless they have actually broken the law in a few days, they have been there. What the actual F are we doing? Seems very Democrat to me, and I do not like it," which I completely agree, especially considering that the Tate brothers are American citizens, right?
Right.
Just weird, right?
Show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
Right. And y'all are going to have to forgive me. I got heartburn brewing up. So when I'm trying to read and stuff like that, it's just killing me tonight. So I apologize for the stutters and hesitations. Let's see here.
No good.
Yeah.
But this is him actually saying it here. Yeah, what's his name? James Uthmeyer. So it's just funny because they took that famous Stalin quote and then they switched, they changed Stalin and they put James Uthmeyer. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
So let's check it out.
Yeah, look, these guys have themselves publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be.
What's that?
I'm hearing double.
You're hearing double, huh?
Mm.
You know what's weird is that's what was happening on my OBS earlier whenever I was trying to record. It was
TNT said holy echo Batman.
Holy echo Batman. Well, you might have to play this then because
I got you.
I don't know. Guys, it took me hours yesterday working through complications with my Stream Deck. I don't want to get into it because it was just such a pain in the butt, but I thought I had everything worked out. Dang it, man, that sucks.
Let me make sure I share this here.
Yeah. Dude, it took me like while you're working on that, it took me like 2-3 hours yesterday because my OBS is what I use to record my daily videos, and the audio was coming through my microphone feed, which is probably what's happening right now, but I don't know what I could do to fix it, and I don't want to start clicking around because next thing I know, it'll be like last show where you guys can't hear me.
Yeah, I'll take the working mic. I'll definitely take the working mic.
Okay.
Oh, we got
So, yeah,
here.
I'll let you
Okay,
go.
now let me know if anything's wrong with my sound, but there shouldn't be. It should be fine here.
Yeah, look, these guys have themselves
They're
publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be soliciting, trafficking, preying upon women around the world. Many of these victims coming forward, some of them minors, people can spin or defend however they want. But in Florida, this type of behavior is viewed as atrocious. We're not going to accept it. They chose to come here and set their feet down in this state. And we're going to pursue every tool we have within our legal authority to hold them accountable. So we are in the process today. We have secured and executed subpoenas and warrants, and we're going to continue to move forward with full force of law. This is an ongoing criminal investigation, and we're going to use every tool we have to ensure that justice is served.
You've opened a criminal investigation?
There is an active criminal investigation, yes.
Do you believe that you can give me any details of what?
I can't comment on a pending investigation, but what I can tell you is if these guys did criminal activity here in Florida, we will go after them with the full force of law and hold them accountable.
What an asshole. I mean, look, I appreciate that sentiment, but let's be real here. You've had plenty of time to look into what the Tate brothers could have have potentially done in the past. And the reality is you didn't do shit until they showed up in your state. And, I thought DeSantis originally with his statements about the Tate brothers, was basically him trying to avoid an international incident. Like, I don't know how they were let out of Romania. I don't know what they're doing here. I didn't have anything to do with it. We'll figure it out. Right. But instead it's like literally he's trying to throw the book at him and get him thrown in jail in prison or in Florida, get him thrown in jail in Florida. I guess. I mean, it's really weird. It's so weird.
I mean, again,
what I
just bring up like the hypocrisy here. Like, look at the fact that we're going to go this hard against the Tate brothers, but Jeffrey Epstein was in Florida for Lord knows how long.
Right.
Where was the energy then? Right. I get that it was like back in 2019 or so, but still, to me, it's just laughable. I think that's just a big old joke. I think there's a good bit of people who I don't even know the right word for it, but it's again, a lot of this stuff they just haven't looked into themselves. Like, I think that what you're saying is right. Should have just said like we don't know what's going on with Romanian cases. All we're looking at is mad women on the internet. That's what we're taking as truth. It's like
right.
Multiple times I've seen people, Candace Owens obviously having them on multiple times to let their case out as well. Even Patrick Bet-David had him on, and of course, we're in the era now where all the right wing is like, how dare you platform these different people there? Because apparently, free speech is it's not a real principle to have anymore. These people just hate seeing anything they disagree with, and so they just copy the left when it comes to that. But it's like narrative protection. It's anything to ensure that they can obfuscate and then also paint the Tate brothers in like the worst possible light to take away any little bit of power that they have. But again, it always backfires, right? I think Andrew Tate said it best in PBD. It's like they're just sending energy like into the ether sphere, like they're giving them more power. And it goes back to what I said earlier, which is like this literally just looks like what Romania was doing, which was trying to like the system is trying to get him. And it's like, well, why does the system want to get him so bad if all that we keep getting is Andrew Tate arrested for this, Andrew Tate charged with this. Days later, no evidence was found, cases dismissed. No
Right.
evidence found, cases dismissed. Females coming forward and saying everything was entirely consensual. Females stepped forward and said this and this. It's like, it just makes you look, for one, like an idiot who can't do their job, but two, also your priorities are entirely rearranged to take care of things when I think it should probably be better spent figuring out how you had the largest blackmail operation that literally committed,
Right.
rape against children in your state for years on end, and then nothing got done. Like, I think maybe that's probably the bigger priority here.
Well, that or
Not
just
chasing dragons here.
yeah, that and just ongoing crime that's actually like, ratified in court or whatever. You know what I mean? Going and digging as the AG of Florida is wasting our time. Like, we're not paying you to try to go after the Tate brothers, bro. Like, we're paying you to actually stop real criminals, not try to find some shit. It's messed up.
Well, his wife promised him that she'll have sex with him for the first time in 5 years if he goes after the Tate brothers. He just jumped on the opportunity there. To me, it's just like, I think it's just overbearingly like pathetic.
Right.
And I'm glad people are platforming him still.
Yeah, for real. JB says that's the problem with people these days. If you piss them off, to try to ruin your life out of spite. And then TNT said, he's just mad that the Tates are over 5'6". That makes me laugh.
Yep.
Good old DeSantis in his boots. But Steve makes a good point here. I'm not pro Tates, but this is silly. It's a publicity stunt, and it's a waste of time and money. And these people need to prioritize and value every second of every day that they're working while we're paying them. I mean, this dude doing this interview is a load of crap. But I wanted to actually just real quick, I changed one audio setting. Just let me know if you guys hear an echo when I press play for a second. We're gonna do a test.
Make sure you share it first on screen.
Did it echo?
You got to share yours first. I didn't hear anything.
Okay. Let me try this. Sorry, my bad.
Preying upon women around
That sounded fine to me. Do it again, though. It wasn't long enough.
the world. Many of these victims
That's
coming
better.
forward.
That's good.
That's better. Okay. It was the same fix as OBS. Wow. Worked. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Well, I did see the comment there from TNT, right? So that's a video that people keep sharing, and that's the same girl who's come forward multiple times and said, like, that's what I wanted. Now, do I think it's degenerate? Yeah, I think it's disgusting that women behave like this, as well as men too. But both of them are just like, that's just gross.
Right.
But that's the woman who's like, I mean, some of these women, like, they're just really into some nasty things, and like that was like the kink thing that they were going after and recording it. So now they simply don't have that, they're going after her age. And I'm not sure what her age was then. So right now that she came out and said it was consensual, they've changed the whole narrative thing to like, well, actually, like, she can't consent. But I think even at that, she was like 16 years old, which again, I don't think is good by any means. But if we look at the age of consent, I think in multiple states here in the United States, it's 16 years old. I'm pretty sure that's what it is here in Ohio as well. So that goes back to like the same kind of argument, which is like, do women have agency or do they not, right? You can't keep talking out of both sides of your mouth. If she's 16 and she legally has consent, she chose to do that, then who are you to say she shouldn't, especially people who claimed that they want liberty and things.
Right. Now I can judge him for participating in that, because to me, that's underage, trying to avoid saying the word, but
right.
Yeah,
that's grooming.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, for her, age of consent, whatever, but it's still bad form. Let's see here. So we do have Tristan Tate and Andrew Tate's response. So let's pull these up here real quick. Tristan Tate's the brother, if you guys don't know. But Tristan Tate said, my father did not serve for years in the armed forces of this great nation. To hear elected officials claim his sons are not welcome here. Thank you very much. I am an American citizen who has been put through hell by a foreign judicial system, and I have a totally clean criminal record in every country on earth. You do not tell me I am not welcome in my own country ever. And he posted a picture of his dad. I assume that's who that was. And then here, let me show you real quick.
Like based.
Right. And then Andrew Tate actually responded, and this was just, I think it was just a couple hours ago. Yeah, it was 2 hours. Oh no, it was yesterday. Okay, my bad. I thought he put this out today. But he says, absolute communism. I've been in America for 5 days. I sat on my laptop and did a podcast. Insanity. I am super disappointed in the United States. This isn't the America I know. This is a sad day for America trying to find crimes on an innocent man. I'm not afraid. I'm genuinely just disappointed. And it's weird because you're turning the Tates against you and the country kind of unnecessarily. You know what I mean? Like I said in the last show, that Andrew Tate kind of won me over. I was on the fence about him because of his past, like what TNT had mentioned and stuff like that. But the things he was saying weren't wrong. The things he said on the PBD podcast, at least. And he kind of won me over. The dude seems to be making sense. He seems to be kind of on the right side of common sense and stuff like that. And he does have a following. And so he is a thought leader to young men. And you don't want him turning against America or Florida or anything like that, honestly, in my opinion, but it might be too late at this point. You shouldn't, it's just a general rule. You shouldn't really make enemies out of people that you don't need to. You know what I mean? You can just let Andrew Tate be Andrew Tate and not make an enemy out of him. But instead, Florida has chosen to go after him. And of course, he's going to oppose it. He's going to use his platform to do and say anything. And right now, he's an innocent man. So is his brother. They haven't been convicted of anything. And that you get the response like what Tristan put out, saying that my father didn't serve in this country for his sons to be treated this way, you know? And that's a base statement. You know what I mean? Like them or not.
I mean, it's super based. And you also look at it too, like even if you take it to the most, like for 2.5 years, a foreign country couldn't find these guys guilty. Like a foreign effing country in Europe couldn't find anything to get on these guys. So like if we're about to say that America's going to find a way to put them on charges, what does that say, right? The fact that you're more free in Romania than you are in America. I mean, that's an insane kind of proposition there. And even if you would, and the thing is like, even if you were to go like the age of consent, right? And you look at what those laws would be. Well, if Romania couldn't just do the basic work and have all those females there that had supposedly stepped forward and couldn't match any of their ages, which is a very easy thing to do, and they couldn't find anything, it's like, I'm sorry, that it's like cases closed. Like you just got to drop it at a certain point. And that's why to me, it's like, again, it's all this kind of narrative thing, right? It's like it's focusing on things that just like literally do not matter. But I think it does matter on the big picture because I think it's trying to get people to kind of poison the well, rather, is a better way to describe that, right? So when it comes to Andrew Tate, poison the well as much as he possibly can. So once again, it's a very unfeasible, right? That's why I say like he's not mainstream, right? Look at all these powers that be that try to make sure that if you were to bring up, oh yeah, listen to this Andrew Tate thing, you now have to preface it the same way you had to preface Donald Trump in 2016, which is, well, you know, I definitely don't like the way that he says some things, but this is why it's as good. And it's like, if we have to get to the point where every single person you bring up when you try to talk about, instead of being very objective about what was said, rather than the content of the character of the person saying it, I mean, we're doing the exact same stuff of what was being done to us and done to Donald Trump way back in the day, which is poisoning the well to the point where if you want to talk about something, you have to give like a 40-minute preamble of
caveat.
Right. Yeah. I disavow this and this and this and this. But the one thing he said here, and 30 minutes later, I'm like asleep. I'm like, wait, what did you say he said? It's just insane.
Well, it's exactly how it is with Ukraine. You can't say, fuck Ukraine. I'm tired of giving them my tax dollars and propping up this war that should have ended years ago without being called a pro-Putin propagandist. You know what I mean? It's just like, no, I can acknowledge that Putin's a bad guy and at the same time say I'm sick and tired of propping up this war. I'm tired of the death and tired of, the waste and everything else. Don't respect neither of the leaders. But yeah,
I want Russia to win.
Well, it's just to your point. Like you got to have a caveat now because of the way that it's all set up. But yeah, I actually, I'm going to post a video as soon as it's already uploaded. It's just unlisted onto YouTube. But as soon as this live is over, I'm going to post a video and I go on a rant at the end and I ask the question, and I asked this on the last show too. What is NATO doing for us that Russia couldn't do for us? Like, would it be like what's the better path forward for the United States is a genuine question. Siding with NATO, who seems to be taking from America, who seems to be Yeah, they let America take the lead. We kind of seem to get to do whatever we want, but we're also the ones fitting the bill. We're defending all of their borders in Europe and everything like that. But at the last, but you know what I mean? And the reason why we need NATO is because combined the amount of nukes between France, Europe and the United States rivals the amount of nukes that Russia has. But I say, well, what if the United States and Russia, what if the United States, and this is a question, and I'm genuinely curious about seeing this through. What if we left NATO and joined forces with Russia? One, it would take Russia out of the BRICS alliances, which would be huge for the future of our country because the BRICS nations are maneuvering to take over the world power, essentially. So if you take Russia out of that and join them to your side, that's a huge swing. Not to mention, Russia is probably the closest country to our actual borders that's across the ocean, right? That doesn't touch us by land, Canada and Mexico, with the exception of some of the smaller island countries and stuff like that. But like the biggest powerhouse that's closest to us is Russia. It's just across the Bering Sea from Alaska. And it would make sense for there to be, trade and alliances between the two countries just out of, geological positioning, right? And so then you want to talk about the amount of nukes that United States and Russia has. Nobody in the country or in the world is gonna compete. So I think it's a fair question, and it's something that we should entertain. What is NATO doing for us, and what could Russia do for us? And no, I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. Here comes a caveat, but I am wondering what's the actual best position for Americans that are America first when it comes to these type of things. You know what I mean? You're talking about securing peace. You're talking about having an actual, their ear, you know what I mean? So if they were to go and invade Ukraine and they were our alliance, our ally, first of all, if you'd think we'd have some kind of say in if they did it in the first place or not. And second of all, it would save us a lot of money if they go through and choose. They'd have approval. I don't know. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of layers to it. Probably a lot of stuff that I haven't considered, and so that's why I asked the question. Is at the same time that I'm kind of suggesting the question be entertained, because I don't know. TNT said we should make a deal with Putin for Russia's rare earth minerals. Fuck Ukraine. We could get the same rare earth minerals out of Russia that they're trying to get out of Ukraine, and we could probably get a better deal, maybe, potentially. And I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think we spend a lot of money defending our coastline from Russian subs. I can tell you, living on the East Coast over here in Florida, they catch Russian subs inside of international waters, like outside of international waters in the United States waters, basically. They fly these helicopters out, and they're cool looking. They got these big circle things that they're on the bottom, attached to the bottom of these helicopters. And what they do is they drop these things down into the water, and then they ping and they identify where these submarines are. And then they ping them until the sub turns and hits the road. And once they hit international waters, they separate, right? They part ways, like, all right, fine, you're out of our territory. But it's constant cat and mouse that's going on all up and down our coast with Russian submarines and stuff like that. And if we could cut that crap out, I mean, we're talking about so much money that we're going to save on the thing. And then the future with Greenland and everything above Canada, as the ice melts, that's going to be this big highway that we're going to want to control with shipping lanes and stuff. And I don't know. I genuinely think that maybe a partnership with Russia, rather than just making them the biggest enemy in the world, would be more beneficial to Americans. So I don't know. I mean, what's NATO doing for us? What's NATO done for you besides take our money? And people like Piers Morgan demand that the United States fits the bill that Ukraine wins this war and Russia leaves everything that they've conquered. Doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Well, I mean, you look at it from even a more other perspective, and even less so about Russia, but why the fact would we be allied with people who are literally importing the third world into their countries at rates that's entirely unsustainable? Why would we be allied with countries that went from the most popular name in their country of being, Michael, James, and John to Mohammed, Al-Shazir, and Bajid? It's like, it's insane. Like, why would we be allied with these people? What do we share in common with these people? They all kind of herald these globalist, liberal ideals that I think are cancer on this earth. They affect everything that they touch too. But again, it goes back to what I'd said last show, which is it would require America acting in its own best interest. It would require us to have a will and a gall to go, yeah, we've been an ally for you for 40 years, but we just decided yesterday that we literally don't care anymore. It would require something like that. And go
Right.
once again, going outside the bounds of like, what's the quote unquote right thing to do? It's like, who cares? Like, you guys have literally destroyed your own countries. We have to pay for all of this stuff. It's a nonstop parasitical relationship with anyone who's involved in this thing too. And it doesn't even need to be an ally with Russia. What if it's just like, you know what, Russia's offering us a better deal.
Right.
We owe nothing to the people in Ukraine. You're both dictators. Who really cares? Our people need help. We actually would rather have these resources for ourselves. Cool, let's get it taken care of.
Right.
And who cares about like all the screeching from like the American people who literally don't care? And in fact, Jay makes a great point there. You know, Russia is more ideologically aligned with the base amount of people that we have here in this country.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense that we would be, enemies against them as well. And then you look at the same way with China too, right? Like, China's got more Christians in it than even like we're growing at an insane rate as well. So we have more in common with the nations that we are supposedly against with BRICS than we do with all these people who are in NATO, this secular ideology there.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what's to stop us from allying with China? The U.S. allies with China. We go, you know what? Hey, we're going to hold
Right.
the world at gunpoint.
Well, that
get
could be
all
the
this
next step.
gay global get all this gay stuff out, and then we can come back and talk like regular men.
Right. Because, I mean, don't forget, Europe is the country that we had to separate from when we founded the United States. I say we, Americans in history. Like, Europe was the biggest enemy that we've had in history. Like, literally, we had to
Right.
fight a revolutionary war to separate ourselves from their power. Right. So let's not forget, but Evil, let's see here. Evil Elmo says, I have less problems with Russia than I do with Europe ripping us off with NATO and even the world with the UN. House says the neocons have a generational grudge against Russia. Stalin threw them out, and the Tsar had programs. Mad News Now says, name one war NATO has stopped, right? And then TNT says, imagine the two largest landmass countries not fighting for once. Unstoppable. I mean, a lot of good points that you guys are making. Jay says many Russians are actually Christian. That's definitely a fact. And Evil Elmo says the world private banks would shit themselves. 100%. I mean, what does Europe have for us? I mean, like, I brought this up on the last show or maybe the show before, and I was just completely surprised when I heard it. But it was about how the European soldiers pray to God that if they're in trouble, the Americans are the ones that are sent to rescue them, because our weakest soldier is stronger and better than their best soldier. And it's just like, what are these people doing? They basically demand that we fit the bill. It's like they took the power back. We fought to separate from them, but yet they still dictate and control what we do with our military, what we do with our funding, like all this kind of stuff. Like, did we really separate ourselves from them? Did they weasel their way back in? I have questions. And then, what are they doing with their spending? Like Trump points out, they're not paying their fair share, but also they're not upholding their end of the deal with properly training their soldiers. They're running out a bunch of Afghanistan soldiers out there, like types that can't even do a jumping jack. I'm sure you guys have seen those videos of U.S. soldiers trying to train the Afghanistan people to defend their own country, and these dudes can't even do jumping jacks. I mean, is that what we're dealing with in Europe too? It's insane. Like, what do they have to offer us? Like, I've been asking this question for a while. What do our allies actually offer us? When was the last time they paid for our southern border to get built? When was the last time they paid for any of our defenses? When was the last time anything came our freaking direction? It's never happened. Never happened, and they'll say, well, there's people out there that'll say, well, Israel does stuff, but you don't know about it. It's like, well, I'd like to know. I like to see it, because last I heard, we're funding their Iron Dome, and they have a higher GDP than we do. So,
right.
Make that make sense to me.
Right. Well, we fund them to make sure that they can also have closed borders that we also don't have. There's a lot of things that Israel has that we actually don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And again, but that's also why it sucks. Because then you also get people like Josh Hawley, who's like, why don't we just redirect all of our funding from Ukraine to Israel? It's like, it's such a hypocritical even stance to take too. It's like, it's not about the fact that like, which country is getting it. It's the fact that like no one should be getting it. You can't continually look at the problems that America suffers from on a base level when the power of our dollar is literally in the absolute garbage. Not only that, it's impossible for any, normal kind of job to sustain on a single income for families to grow. There's multiple things that are very, very against just the very average person in this country. But it's not a question of like anything anymore. At a certain point, you got to look at it and say, yep, we're going to cut all ties. You're all on your own.
Yeah.
Because if we're all going to be the American empire, it's like, well, I want some vassal states. I want some states that are like, this is actually America 2. That's America 3 over there. And America 4, 5, 6, and 7 are on this coast over here. Because otherwise, you don't have any sovereignty. If it requires a mass amounts of the GDP that we make and we convert as the American taxpayers, then it's like, you better just paint yourself stars and stripes over there, burn your flags into the ground, because the only reason that you guys even survive and exist is because we pay for it.
Right.
Outside of that, it's like, then don't be the empire at all. Back all the way up.
Right. And Eva Elmo makes this great point. The reason they have their free healthcare is because we pay for their defense. And at the same time, they know that we're paying for their defense. We know that we're providing their defense. So they're not spending on their own military. They're not training their own people, anything like that. That's why their soldiers suck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's because they're cutting their military spending so they can have other things that we can't have. It's pretty crazy. He follows that up and says, what if Eva Elmo follows that up and says, how about we redirect the funding to Ukraine from Ukraine to our veterans? I mean, we do anything with that money. Really, it's crazy. But the other thing about, NATO countries is that their open borders, they're being overrun with refugees. You guys can't see my quotes because it's outside here, but refugees, right? Just like we are. And it's like, I don't want to follow the same path that Ukraine or that NATO countries, that Great Britain has followed, that, you know what I mean? What's it that Paris, France has followed? Like, Paris used to be like this exotic vacation. Now it's like shithole country.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
You're missing everything but one great point, which is, don't you understand? The blacks and the browns, they need us white people. The blacks and browns, they need our white dollars. They need our white systems of civics. They need, like, that's what's being said, right? Like, these people, for whatever reason, can't build their own countries. They can't, Lord knows they can't even invent the wheel in half these countries. They don't even have running water. They don't have electrical systems. And that's what we're getting, right? You're importing people who are centuries behind in terms of not even just technology, but the way their civilizations are meant to be operating. So what you're getting at the end of the day is like, it's this emotional appeal again, right? Where it's like, well, don't you feel bad that like you as a white person aren't giving everything in your power? You're not sacrificing your own ability to have children so more black and brown people can come here and have 8 kids all named Muhammad on your money while we pay them subsidies here. That's the part that, like, that's the one that bothers me the most.
That follow Sharia law and not the laws of the land.
Well, right. And what you get is the fact that these, even in these kind of, it's happening here too, to a degree, but especially when you look at the UK as well. I mean, maybe not tolerance, not even the right word, but they're such pussies that like they literally will, Sharia law will dominate them. Because the men that are coming over there are like, no, this is what we believe and we're going to believe it, because they're more closer.
They're hardcore.
They're right. They believe what they believe. They're convicted in it. But in the average UK, it's like what you had said, is like 5'4". Can't even, praise for an American man to show up who's like 6 foot when military boots and is going to do what they can, because they're just a weakened people. And so there's so many things there. And that's why you do see, like, obviously in Europe, Tate has a big following, right? Go back to Andrew Tate, because there are men who are growing up, who are younger, who are like in the Gen Z generation, who are like 20 years old. And they're like, I don't understand any of this. They're growing up and they're like, why is no one saying this? It's like, I go outside and all these blacks are stabbing everybody. Everyone named Muhammad is killing people and raping everyone that I know in my neighborhood. But we keep giving more money. It's like, guys, like I'm not gonna have a future. And then you're told, like, how dare you think that way, you racist son of a bitch. Like that's what's done. And that's the kind of narrative that's getting told. And it's super unfortunate, because all that's going to do is it's going to build a younger, extremely radical base of young white men. You're going to get exactly what you had been saying was there in the entire time. You call Donald Trump a Nazi. Let this go on for 10, 15 more years, and you'll see some Nazis in that country.
Well, Tim Pool posted earlier today that Zoomers are the new punk rock are the most punk rock out of all of us or whatever. So that's kind of to your point that the younger generations are going to get tired of the bullshit. They're going to wise up to it.
Right. Well, some of the probably the funniest memes you see on the internet that you laugh at that are like, man, that was pretty out of bounds. That was good. Was probably made by an 18-year-old.
Right.
Literally, like, it's just like, I can't stand this. Right. I'm gonna make this meme that's hilarious, but makes a great point. And it's probably all made by, people who are probably younger than both you and I. But that's
Right.
the culture they're growing up in, right? Imagine looking on and seeing like the way that your dad kind of suffers, that everything that's being told to you your entire life is how you're just inherently bad as a white person, and especially as a male too. Any ounce of like, any kind of camaraderie with the guys, wanting to be a Christian, some of these kind of basic values, the crusades, all shame, 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 humiliation, humiliation. You're inundated over and over and over. Every ad you see is white woman with black male over and over and over again. And then you get from your institutions, the school you go to, your education, everything. And you're just like, at a certain point you go like, okay, like F this, dude. Like, I'm not giving my heart and soul to this country. And that's why you see recruitment numbers dropping in the base, dude.
Yeah.
You think some 18-year-old's going to sign up and say, yeah, I've been punched and pissed on my whole life. I will die for this country. Like, get out of here, dude. That's why it's filled with trans and women.
My two moms both tell me that America is a terrible country.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go die for it.
Right, exactly. So Tix Bomber says the Zoomers are starting to grow up, and the indoctrinated ones are pissed, and they're pro-America and Christ. Titan says Tim Pool doesn't know anything about punk rock. He listens to Green Day. That's funny because I think their singer of Green Day just literally defected out of the United States, which he spoke with the English accent for years, anyways, as it is. But
right.
The Tix Bomber says Tim Pool is definitely emo rock. Yeah, you judging by the music that he makes, he's definitely emo rock, right? Mad News Now says just subscribe to Atlas. Thank you, Mad News Now. That's cool. We're trying to get 1,000 subscribers. So anybody that's watching over there, make sure you do hit that subscribe button because we'd like to see Atlas's channel hit that 1,000 mark as soon as possible. I see that you have some folks. Actually, you got 54 people right now currently watching on X on Atlas's channel. If you guys don't mind, find him over on YouTube. I'm sure maybe the link is on your X profile anywhere. Let's say click that link and just hit the subscribe button over there on YouTube if you guys don't mind. If all 54 of you aren't subscribed on YouTube and went over there and hit the button, you'd get him over that mark. That'd be awesome. If not, that's okay. Thank you guys for watching on X as well. Just make sure you hit that like button, share, repost, all that good stuff so more people can find out about us, right? That's the only way we can grow is with your guys' help. Let's see here. TNT says they passed a new law in the UK today. If you're a minority, the max penalty for a crime is reduced by 40%. That's crazy. That's crazy. Tix Bomber says my nephew and his friends are all 19 and 20 and they can't stand the other half of their generation. Yeah, I'm sure. I saw a thing of Harry Sisson and some of those dudes that hang out with his little crew all dancing the other day, and it's just like, you guys are not masculine. You guys are not long for this world with the way that you think, that's for sure.
I recorded a video of me doing a TikTok dance. How masculine am I, guys?
They were like pushing the one out of the way so that they could dance, and then getting pushed out of the way so that they can dance. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
right.
And I don't think that's an attempt to get laid, by the way, either.
No. You can leave a link possibly on my chat. Mad News Now. I kind of freebase YouTube, so I think World's Chat automatically cycles them out.
Yeah, I don't have you can try Mad News Now, but I believe I have all the links blocked. I don't want somebody to post something random and then somebody get virus or something like that. So I just kind of played it safe on the front end, but you can give it a try. If it doesn't go through, that's why. But yeah, absolutely you can. And guys, go check out Mad News Now as well. John's been doing it for a little while, and YouTube forced him to start a new channel, so he's starting off fresh.
Oh yeah, you can also drop it in the Discord. Great point, TNT.
Oh yeah, we have the Discord link that you can click and drop it there too as well. That's a good point. Yep. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, 6 years. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into this Donald Trump speech last night. We're down to the last half hour. But before we do, I want to play this video. I thought this was cool. This lady, this is from libs of TikTok. I voted for Democrats my whole life. They never did anything they promised. I voted for Republican once, and the dude does everything he promised on steroids. And let's hear what this lady has to say.
I voted for Democrats my whole life. They never did anything they promised. They would come to the black church and sing some Negro spirituals with us and then disappear, peer. Once they got our vote, they never did anything they promised. I vote for a Republican once in my life, and this dude done did everything he promised on steroids. He ain't even been in office 2 months, and everything I voted for, I'm getting. It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like this dude, if he sleeps, he wake up on a mission to do what Nakia voted for. He said, Nakia want me to fix that border? I'm on it. Nakia want to make sure them tax dollars is being spent for Americans more than anybody else? I'm on it. Like, this dude wakes up, I feel like, with me in mind. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he be thinking about me. It's like being at the casino. You put in that Democrat coin, you put it in and you pull the thing and no, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. You put in another Democrat coin and you pull the thing and no, you didn't win. You put in that Republican coin,
the MAGA coin.
Republican coin for the first time. Pulled the ding, 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 ding. I freaking won. Wow. So you know what that tells me? That tells me to never vote for Democrats again in life. Ever. Because you're not going to win with them. I voted for a Republican once and hit the jackpot, honey. I will continue to do that again and again and
I just thought that was so funny. I do got to ask the question, why is the light switch right next to her head? Maybe it's because she's sitting in a chair, but
Well,
either that or
I
she's
used to
super
say,
short.
I didn't hear a fire alarm or a smoke alarm.
The beep.
I don't know how black this woman is. I did not hear a smoke alarm. But I do want to say, before we hit to the half-hour mark, I just wanted to do the Ian Carroll thing. I don't want to share any Joe Rogan stuff because obviously,
okay,
they get copyrighted.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if you want to stage that and run through that, and then we'll go through the Trump stuff. I got like 15 things slated for the Trump reaction, Democrats' reaction to the Trump speech. So
yeah, no, I saw all those videos in there too. Well, it's it's crazy because make sure I got it on the right one here. Where's it at? Let me pull it off here.
Yeah, Tix Bomber, that's true.
It's Ian Carroll going on Joe Rogan. Insane. Obviously, because I think there are some obvious implications, if you're in the know, of what he's going to be talking about and what they did talk about. Joe Rogan being one of the earliest conspiracy theorists. And it's it was just a great thing to see. I thought it was insane. You know, I thought, one thing to expect, as Clint Russell, Candace Owens, and many others pointed out, get ready to watch for the smears, same way that we would have just seen the fact of what's his name? Tate with PBD as well. All these people screaming at, like, how dare you platform this person? Wow, you're so hateful. Wow, do you just hate all Jews? All these kind of things are going to come out after this as well. But again, Ian Carroll was kind of like the very, what's the right word for that? He's like the milquetoast version of what you would get from anybody from the dissident right. I don't even know if you can consider him dissident right. He's just dissident in general. A lot of what he does is he compiles a lot of things that is very anti-establishment. It's probably the best way to say it. He's a huge RFK supporter. I think his biggest thing is the fact with the food and making, anti-pharma and such. But he had him on with Joe Rogan, I think it's going to take over the internet here in a little bit. We're probably going to get flooded with clips if they're probably not already flooded on X right now. I'd imagine all the different things that they talked about, but they did talk about, obviously Epstein. They talked about Mossad. They talked about the JFK assassination. Essentially, all the things that we haven't gotten yet from that we were promised when it came to like releasing all those files there. And it was really good. Now, I do agree with Titan on there, right? Because Ian's got a few bad takes, but definitely based on JQ. I think that's right. There are some takes, and again, Ian's a guy from Washington, right? He's a guy from Washington who has got very kind of liberal parents too. He's not Christian. He said that multiple times, although he has said he wants to go down that, as he says, the rabbit hole. But I was very, very, very glad that Joe Rogan had him on, because I think that opens Ian Carroll up to a lot more of a mainstream audience than he previously didn't have. I'm not sure if Ian Carroll's at like 2 million followers or something like that, but he's been blowing up an insane amount. Clint Russell even pointed that out, just how quickly that guy climbed. Now he's been on with like some bigger guys who are like on the middle size account level. But Joe Rogan's obviously like the largest platform that you can have, especially when it comes to anything like comedy, politics, anything of that nature. So I thought it was really, really great to see that too. I'd play a couple of videos of what they had said, but Joe Rogan will he will hunt you down and copyright you for even like playing like a 30-second clip.
Bro, he got
really
me for the damn Bongino video that I made. And I'm like, dude, I got like, at the time, I think I had like 12, 13,000 subs. It's like, you really got a dude that's like on it like that? Okay, whatever, man. Never going to play another Joe Rogan clip on my channel ever again.
Yeah. And what's cool is I think Joe Rogan got a bit of freedom back to do things on YouTube as well. So I don't have Spotify, but when I saw the link, I was like, dang it, I'm going to have to wait. But then
he did. I've been getting the
oh,
notifications like every day all of a sudden for the last week and a half. I didn't change anything on my side, but I'm seeing them coming through on my phone. And it's like, yeah, he must have got some freedom back on YouTube or whatever, to your point. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I definitely think he did.
Yeah, and I think what the Spotify deal was I think Spotify just has it live. Like he's had some live, and then if after the episode's finished, then you can find it on what's it called? On YouTube. So I think that's kind of like the deal. They went previously, it was like if you wanted to find certain Joe Rogan episodes, you would have to go through Spotify to even be able to find them and watch them and listen to them. And that was even after the fact that they made him delete certain stuff too. But I would definitely encourage everybody to at least go watch that. I think that podcast is phenomenal. I was only able to watch a good bit of it while I was on my lunch break today.
Thank you, Tix Bomber. He just commented and said he did with the new contract. He added the stipulation he can go back to his original YouTube model as well. Okay, thanks. That's awesome. Appreciate you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's what I had assumed, just based on what I had seen there as well. But all I can really hope, and like I said, like everyone's saying here in the chat too, especially people who are on my side, who are like a bit more prone into this. I just like the fact that there is someone who is gaining mainstream ground, who is very overt on the top when it does come to these kinds of very neocon ideals, which is them boys over there. Now, you do see it a bit more now, especially with Dave Smith and Clint Russell. I think Clint Russell even a lot more so since this kind of debacle with the Epstein files. But now that we're seeing more and more of that, I'm glad. I want it to be more mainstream. I want more people to be, on that as well. Especially once it reaches that kind of main apex point too, it's going to be hard to ignore. It's going to be hard to do that continual kind of smearing campaign of anybody who talks about it, oh, they're just deranged, or anybody who talks about it, oh, they just hate these certain kinds of people. We get past that, then we can start having some kind of real conversations there. And that'll, be what helps America heal, especially getting to the actual kind of core root of the corruption at these intelligence agencies and offices from our own as well as foreign countries too. So I thought that was just phenomenal. But yeah, I just encourage everybody to go over there and check him out too if you haven't already. I think he's one of my favorite guys to listen to as well. He's a very he's a less prickly version of anybody who's on the dissident right when it does come to these kind of topics. So especially if you do kind of lean more on the liberal side, he's kind of an easier take than listening to anybody, like the Band Man or Vincent James, or anybody in that kind of network that's obviously it can only exist in certain places like Rumble.
Yep. Titan said, I can spend an hour just arguing that MMA and UFC killed the culture of martial arts. yeah, maybe. But, they advanced the culture of wrestling. So when I was growing up, I didn't really have a pro version of going, a way of going pro with my wrestling background. But I get what your point. Martial arts was always like self-defense, only use if you need to, and now it's
commercialized.
Back to the gladiators, right? Which, you know, the gladiator eras of the, you know, in Rome and stuff like that had its people like to see combat. So, you know, I'm glad that they've actually done what they've done with it. But that's just me.
Yeah. No, let's go ahead and let's do the we'll do the speeches with the
move on to Trump
address. Yes.
Okay. Titan said, I just like that the WWF boasting stuff and the cheap shots. Oh, I just don't like the WWF boast. Did you I saw that what's his name? Travis Scott. I'm not like a WWE dude, but I was scrolling through X earlier and I saw Travis Scott was on there, and he actually slapped Cody Rhodes and busted his eardrum and gave him a black eye. He doesn't know how to do the fake stuff, and he slapped the shit out of Cody Rhodes while he was on the ground and busted his eardrum and messed him up. You could tell he was hurt right away because he was laying on his stomach and he like turned his ear down to the ground, like, don't do that again.
That's funny.
Yeah. But we're gonna start off with this. Oh wait, I can't drag it. I gotta click it and then drag it. Learn how to do stuff, guy. We're going to start off with this, and then we're just going to kind of mow through some of these things. I try to put them in somewhat of an order, but we'll just go through them. There was a lot of stuff, and there was plenty more to be shared, by the way, but I'll just try to pick some of the highlights. Let me, I guess I got to add that on there.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Look at these Democrats. Okay, this started over, but I wanted to go back to this scene right here because the line is right here in the middle. So everybody on this side is all applauding and everybody over here is just doing nothing. But if I'm correct, these are the generals, right? So they should be bipartisan or nonpartisan. And I think these are the Supreme Court judges. So the fact that these folks aren't siding with Trump.
Clarence Thomas. No, but really, I literally don't see him there.
I was gonna say I don't see him, but I think that's Amy Coney Barrett right there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's Kavanaugh in between them. In the
right
middle.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't see Ketanji Brown Jackson either. They must not be there. But yeah, this is the general. These aren't the Democrats. These people are supposed to be bipartisan, both this section and this section. Hopefully you guys can see my mouse. But I just wanted to point that out because it's really weird how like this line down the middle literally divides the two. Smile on every face over here. She's got the number one finger up. You can barely see her. It's almost blocked by me, but just so weird. So weird. So let's check this next one out here. I gotta close some of these windows down. I'm up to like 30 windows. All right. So this one's funny. This one says LMAO, Trump is hilarious. And I won't read the quote because we'll just let you hear it yourself.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense. With no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Mike Johnson's trying not to laugh. But even Pocahontas laughed, so we can laugh at it. It's okay.
2,000 People are being killed every single week. More than that.
Even Pocahontas laughed, so we can laugh.
Right. What is she, like 164th or something like that? Some
I don't even
ridiculous
think
number.
that's it. I think she just claimed that. Let's see here. TNT said he wrestled from 5th grade on. I wrestled in 6th grade on. That's pretty cool. Let's see here.
120,000th.
Yeah, the pink floozies. Yeah, exactly. All these chicks that wore the pink sweaters or shirts. It's funny. I didn't add it to the outline, but if anybody's familiar with Greg on X, it's just Greg. He posted that they don't know how to do their laundry right because they're not supposed to mix the colors with the whites or the I can't remember exactly what he said, but they all had different shaded pink shirts on. So he was acting like they all got ruined in the laundry. I don't know. That made me laugh. He's got a unique sense of humor. Let's see here.
Good old Greg.
Yeah, good old Greg. Okay. Did I mess that up? Okay, no, there it is. All these things autoplay. This is the Democratic rep actually told the truth. Let the truth slip out. What the Democrats plan to do after Trump's State of the Union, and I'll see if you guys can pick it up.
You don't care about this country, and that is unacceptable if you claim to be the president of the United States. So we are here. We are not going anywhere. We are going to continue to fight back, and we are going to continue to speak lies to his truth, to his stealing, and to his cheating. Thank you.
Did you guys pick that up? We're going to continue to speak lies to the truth. Lies to his truth. Okay. Well,
Every single one of them looked miserable.
We knew that, but you didn't have to say it out loud. But thank you for doing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, at least they're honest.
That cracks me up. Evil almost said, "I only did my wrestling in the street I only did wrestling and street fighting." Well, I'll tell you what, wrestling mixed with street fighting, I had the advantage every time. Nobody knew how to wrestle. Mad News Now says mixing the reds with the whites. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, mixing the reds with the whites. Yeah, that's how you get Pocahontas, man.
So then Matt Walsh points out the things the Democrats didn't clap for. A child cancer survivor, which that was a cool scene. If you didn't tear up during that, I would maybe kind of wonder if you don't have a heart. I don't know about tearing up, but if you didn't if your heart didn't go out to the scenario, the dad was super proud. He's holding his son up. He'd been through multiple brain cancer surgeries, wants to be a cop, has been made an honorary cop in a bunch of scenarios. That was a funny part that I liked about. That was one of the instances that I liked that I watched it on the Tim Pool podcast because they mentioned that he's probably one of the most decorated police officers in history. The amount of times that he had been made an honorary cop and all this stuff, but
Right.
They made him a official member of the Secret Service, which that was really cool. The Secret Service director came out, gave him a badge, gave him an ID, and the kid wanted to hug him, gave him a hug. It looked sincere, didn't look awkward. It was a cool scenario. And then while everybody was cheering, there's this one Democrat lady that plugs her ear and looks away. And it's just really not a good look for the Democratic Party. Like right now, they're, like I said, they're the party of taxation, war, big tech. And apparently they hate little kids that beat cancer. I mean,
Right.
I'm sorry, lady. Were we annoying you? It's really
Well,
ridiculous.
I think it was awesome. The only sad thing I could think of when I saw that was he's now a target among his own community now. That kid's going to get attacked by the black community the rest of his life.
Well, there's already videos of him being bullied already before this, so it's probably not going to get much better for him. It's unfortunate, but it's not for. I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool scenario. It's unfortunate the way that people treat individuals like that, but that just makes them scumbags. It doesn't say anything about the young man.
Right.
House said wrestler decides if the fight is on the ground or standing up. Yeah, they decide how it ends too. I just side note real quick because we're kind of talking about that. I was a kid that always hung out. Like my best friend was 3 years older than me, so I was always hanging out with the older kids. We played sports. The older kids didn't like it when the little kid tackled them, so then I'd have to fight them, and I'd always put them in a move and hold them there until they said whatever I wanted and embarrassed them really bad. That's how I got him to not fight me again once I let him up. He had to embarrass them really bad. Because if you just let them up, then they want to fight you again, and then it's a continuous thing. So you embarrass them, and then they don't want it again. That's pretty funny.
Right. Sometimes violence is the answer. I 100% agree.
Right. Evil almost said, I didn't tear up. I was cutting onions, I swear. LOL. Damn onions. Yeah, right. That's funny stuff. But continuing here, the Democrats didn't clap for a child cancer survivor planting a flag on Mars, fighting crime, helping working families, catching terrorists, destroying the cartels. The only thing the Democrats did clap for, can you guess it? Well, it's on the screen, but it's Ukraine, right? Yep. Insane, right? And it was only the part where he mentioned that they're getting the funding or whatever. Just so pathetic. So then we have, right. So then we'll move on to this post from Riley Gaines. It's a minute and a half or a minute 50 seconds long, but Riley Gaines, if you don't know, I think everybody here knows who she is, but she was a swimmer who was forced to swim against the dude, the 6-foot dude, share a locker room with him as well. See, that's the thing too, is they always talk about, it's these Democrats that want to talk about participation medals and stuff like that. They don't care about winning or losing. It's all about just playing and having fun. But then when it comes to a biological man or a man participating in women's sports, they say, why do you care? Well, because we actually care about winning and losing. We care about right and wrong. And we don't support men being in women's locker rooms for the protection of women. Right? Just simple as that, right? And
he's like a known autophiliac too, right? He's the guy who had got uncovered with having a burner Instagram account with the fact that his entire sexual proclivities was the fact that he enjoyed getting off on the fact that he would dress up like a woman. Like the guy,
right?
It's disturbing stuff.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. They didn't really make mainstream, or nothing of him made mainstream news other than he won. But yeah, you're right. So that's Riley Gaines, and she's a big Trump supporter. But let's hear what she has to say about this real quick.
I attended President Trump's State of the Union address in Washington, D.C. tonight. Let me tell you what I saw. Better yet, let me tell you what I didn't see. I did not see Democrats stand and applaud a child with terminal brain cancer who was in the room. I did not see Democrats stand and applaud and honor the life and memory of young girls like Laken Riley or 12-year-old Jocelyn, who lost their lives to illegal gang members before their grieving parents who were in the room. I did not see Democrats stand and applaud an American who had been falsely and innocently imprisoned in Russia, who had recently been returned, who was in the room with his 95-year-old mother. I did not see Democrats stand and applaud a balanced budget. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But you know what I did see the Democrats stand and applaud? The only thing they stood and cheered for was Ukraine. And I don't mean peace in Ukraine, because when President Trump mentioned his efforts to end the Russian-Ukrainian war, they didn't cheer for that. They only cheered when President Trump mentioned we have given Ukraine over $350 billion in taxpayer funds. They clapped for the continued funding of war in Ukraine. The Democratic Party, and I don't mean Democrats, I mean the Democratic Party. So in terms of elected representation and certainly how left-leaning media portrays the Democrats, they're no longer American. They don't love our country. They don't love our flag. They don't love the American people. They are soulless. They are insufferable. It can only be described as immoral and evil. Tonight was proof for me that Democrats will literally stand for anything but America and its people.
And, you know, to her point, the Democrats really hate America. They'll tell you it's systemically racist and just, you know, I don't have to go through all the thing, but they hate our country. You know what I mean? And that's these teachers. That's the people that are, you know, putting themselves in positions to teach the youth.
All you need is the heat map. Every single time you see a liberal say literally anything, it just goes right back to the heat map. They have an insane out of group preference. They always vote for interests that do not match theirs, and it's because they're kind of conditioned like that as well too. Where you look at conservatives they have better higher in group preferences. They vote for things that are in their best interest, that do align with not even just theirs, but this person who may be next to them as well, even if it wasn't specifically with them. But it's the whole kind of inverse of the what we got with the Ordo Amoris, right? The ordering of love, which is like, the Christian principle from, I can't remember who authored it, who coined the term. But the idea that you care about yourself first, right? You got to make sure yourself is in order. And then you got to make sure that your family is in order. Then you got to make sure that your community, and then your kin, and then it goes on and on and on. Where the Democrats have that like flipped, where it's like they're the first ones to say they hate their parents, they hated their upbringing, they hated their hometown, they hated the state they were from, they hated the country that they're from. And it just follows that typical path.
Right. So true. TNT says Democrats will say they were stunning and brave, speaking truth to power like the grifter subtards that they are. They're not retards. They're subtards.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to at least be under like 95 IQ to be a Democrat.
Right.
And then if you're anything beyond that, it's probably because you're just taking advantage of people. I'd reckon it's probably even lower than that. It's probably like maybe 85, 90 at most.
Yeah, exactly. Tix Bomber said they proved it last night, and if the remaining Dems that are true Americans should have seen that.
There is no Democrat who's a true American.
Right.
There is not a single one.
Evil ML points out that we got people living on the streets, veterans, people in huge need, Americans that fought for our country, while we have illegals getting hotel rooms, healthcare, food, money for free. Titan says sometimes I wonder if the Dems even know or if the Dems I know even actually watch this stuff, or if it's all article clip based. I can tell you from my experience, it's all article clip based, and it's from sources like New York Times, Politico. I just went through this today in my group chat, referring back to my group chat. This dude comes at us saying Trump is selling tickets to eat dinner with him at Mar-a-Lago for $1 to $5 million. And it's like, okay, so you really think Trump is selling influence to these people? Like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, the best comeback to these people is, why do I care about that? I don't care about that. And it shuts them up really fast, because I don't care about this bullcrap anymore. You guys just, I get it. You guys don't like Trump, and it's really painful for you guys to accept anything that Trump does as good. So come at me with some real information that I should care about, or just shut the hell up. Just enjoy your life over the next 4 years as Trump makes it better for you.
Well, the older generations, they have Joy Taylor, or Joy Reid. I always forget the names. They have like
Joy Reid, who just got fired, by the way.
Rachel Maddow, Keith Olbermann. That's the older generations.
Yep.
Middle generations are getting stuff from TikTok from their favorite mom influencer, and their favorite, Black Queen, whatever. And the younger generations get it from people like Destiny and Hassan, and who are those other kind of bigger guys in that sphere. They get their news from what their favorite streamer says, whether it's like XQC or Amaranth. That's like where they get their worldviews, right? It's like, it's very piece and parcel. It's not like whole view. They don't really generally typically consume long form politics, but that will change over time a bit as the more that we see the fact that politics is becoming pop culture.
Right.
But it's also just because it's becoming so much more important to everybody, because we are reaching a point where it affects everybody so much on a daily basis that it's hard not to want to tune into what's happening. So that's why you kind of hit like that critical mass point where everybody knows what politics are going on, which is why it's so common for certain, Twitch streamers to just outright ban, anything political. It'll put people on timeouts because they don't even want to attempt to have to navigate that area.
Right. Housley Tardo says most people only have a cocktail napkin understanding of politics. And that's true. And it's funny because when I come at people and try to tell them about stuff and like face to face, they think that I'm some crazy extremist and conspiracy theorist. And it's like, that's just partial. That's like partially something that I struggle with personally. That is, I'm just blunt and I tell what I believe is the truth, and then people are like, "What? I don't believe that," or whatever. That can't be true. So maybe I need to come up with a better way of sugarcoating stuff. But that's so true that most people are just too busy to understand or even focus on politics to even understand it.
Yeah, there's a famous Alex Jones clip. I'll try to find it, but he nails it in this old clip here.
Right. And so while you're looking for that, Riley Gaines followed up and said Democrats kneeled for 8 minutes and 46 seconds for a drug-infused violent criminal. That was George Floyd, by the way. If people don't know, I'm sure y'all are smart enough to know that. That's one thing I love about the chat. You guys are pretty dang smart. You guys help us a lot getting our facts straight and stuff like that, which I appreciate. But Laken Riley fought for her life for 18 excruciating minutes before it was taken by an illegal gang member, yet they couldn't even stand to honor her family. Process that is what she said. And she included a picture here of Democrats kneeling. And look, they all got their like African dashikis or whatever they're called, like scarf things, which George Floyd probably never wore. You know what I'm saying? It's just the biggest virtue signal ever. Nancy Pelosi needed help up, by the way. She kneeled and somebody had to come and help pick her up. But here they all are sitting last night when Trump mentioned Laken Riley's name. They're pathetic. They have no principles. Their only principles are Trump bad, Elon bad, and that's pretty much it, right? I mean, they don't have any policies that are good. That's for sure. Ran out of Geritol. That news. That's really funny. Yeah, they were too damn old to stand up for 3 or 4 minutes. This is way later in life now. Yeah, exactly.
With their slaver scarves on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're honoring all the people who actually sold the slaves in the first place.
Right. So then Benny Johnson, he posted here. Did you find that clip? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll just post. I'll play this. It's 14 seconds. This was something we mentioned earlier, but I wanted to play it just because of its ridiculousness.
There are only 2 genders, male and female.
And look, the Democrats are all sitting while it's so stupid. Like, you think the forefathers, the founding fathers, are rolling over in their grave that Donald Trump had to say that in 2025?
They're regretting the Constitution more than about 7 pages longer.
For real. Let's see here. Okay, I'll add this so you can play the Alex Jones clip.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's there's no music attached to it. But dude, it's hilarious. Like, I've long felt like this for a long time, but going back to the fact of how, people don't pay attention to politics and such, but the kind of bread and circuses narrative. So hopefully this sounds okay. There's no music.
Hey, what do you think of the Cowboys? What do you think of this? Yeah, did you see the simulated combat on TV? Yeah, I watched it. A bunch of rich gladiators that could care less about me. Did you see it? Yeah, I'm empty too. Yeah, I did. I fill my head with facts and figures that don't matter instead of learning the political system and standing up for myself. Again, I'm not saying sports are bad in and of themselves if you're involved in it, but not when it's your whole focus. It's always the same. They're like androids. They have like a little fake conversations. So what do you think of the playoffs? What do you think of the weather? Oh, yeah. And you start bringing up, I don't know, what do you think of the surveillance grid going in? Have you heard about how they're listening to all of us without warrants? They're like, well, gee, buddy, what you bringing that up for? It's kind of weird. Well, it is weird they're doing it. It's very dangerous. Well, I don't care. I'm not involved in politics. I don't have to worry about that, Mac. Oh, really? They're putting the grid in place to rob you, you fat. Hey, what do you think of it?
It's so good. It's so accurate, man. But that's how it feels sometimes, man. They've got the system so roped over people's eyes that you go too deep in anything. They've somehow convinced people that and they brought this up too on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Titan says that's me at every family get together.
Oh, right, yeah. Welcome to the club. They've kind of convinced it where we've somehow evolved, right? We have all of human history. There's always been not only just like the base level of people have either just been like doing, violent things, but also that like every king and queen and all these secret societies and all these very high and elite people were doing just the most awful things. I mean, revolution was always bloody, always just evil things. And somehow in the last like 100, 200 years, humanity just like magically evolved. And it's not happening anymore. Like, oh, your government would never rob you. Your government would never just send foreign aid to destroy your hollow out your country. Oh, they would never do that to kids in a blackmail ring. It's like you have to be a certain level of dense to be like, yeah, just in the last 100 years, everyone just became good all of a sudden. It's like, that's not how it works. That's what happens when you move Christianity. You take away the idea of that there is working forces of good and evil. And people, the worst anyone could do is just like sign a fraudulent check.
They make government God, and then they act like everything that the government can do is holy. That's why they hate Donald Trump so much, is because it's counter, he's counter to their narrative, to what they believe or whatever. They don't want to give him the power that they give the rest of the government. They think that the government is intrinsically always doing what's best for the people. And that's that projection that I haven't mentioned in a long time, but I've talked about it before. People like to project their goodness onto other people when that person would just assume rob you, steal all your shit, and leave you with nothing, right? And it's a problem that Christians have, or maybe people just in general, that we project this goodwill, this goodness onto other people who literally do not deserve it and do not think that way at all. They're looking to get in where they fit in. They're looking to get what they can while they can. Natural takers, right? And it's an issue.
Right.
It's a problem, and we gotta be more guarded. And the Democrats like to project that type of behavior onto government figures for whatever reason.
I mean, if you get all the time, you get like those videos of, this black lady's going off or some black guy, and they're like, man, like, and white people just like, they just effing suck. They're inherently evil. They did all these things, like yada, yada, yada. And then it's like, it shows like a white lady watching the video, and she's like, man, they're so right. Like, don't you think so, hun? And you're just sitting there like, like, how do I respond to that? Like, but that's what it is, right? It's like that outer group preference there too. This whole, again, what you had said too, government became God,
right?
Authority became God. Ethos is God. That's what it became, right? Logos has been destroyed and ripped apart. Pathos is used to promote ethos. And if you're not familiar, those are just the three argumentation forms. But that's what we got in COVID 2020, right? How dare you question the experts? Even I think Donnie brought up a great point in the Discord. If we let the system win, in 50, 100 years from now, and they're writing the history books, to be like, the era of misinformation, right? Back then, we realized like how awful it was that we let people research things on their own, and we will never make that mistake again. So from now on, when you want to research something, your computer will actually guide you to the correct resources. And if you fall out of bounds, you will be arrested for thought crimes against America. It's like, that's like the path that we're on, until we kind of wager back the idea that like you don't have to be an expert to have an opinion, let alone like ingenuity can come from anywhere. Kind of all these kind of different innovations that happen. It's been time and time again. But if the system wins, it'll be their path. It'll be, the era of when people read news by themselves. Ever again.
Right. It's so funny because TNT Cycle says, "Get in where you fit in." One of the best Too Short songs ever. That's actually where I got that line from. It's so funny that you knew that reference, because I've had that in my brain for a long time, and I've used it that same way for a long time, and I can't believe you actually nailed it. That's awesome. So let's continue here, because I know we're past 9, and I know you probably got to go here real soon. But
we're fine until I hear my wife start yelling.
Okay, well, let me know, and you can dip anytime you need to. I'm going to run through the rest of these topics here before ending the show. But Nick Sorter what's that? You got a few minutes? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nick Sorter posted, "I want to give a shout out to Democrat Representative Laura Gillen. She was the sole Democrat who stood up and clapped as the 13-year-old cancer patient DJ Daniel was being honored by President Trump and director Curran. So shout out to her. It wasn't all the Democrats. There was one who, and this was DJ here hugging the director. He reached out and hugged the director. Didn't look awkward or anything like that. It was cool. It seemed like a natural, just heartfelt moment. Thought it was cool. Let's see here. And here's some of the clip here of it, actually. See, his dad's real proud. Gave him a badge and ID.
Dad need to hit the gym, dude. Get that kid up over your shoulders.
Just a cool moment. What was that you said?
I said, Dad needs to go to the gym, man. He need to get that kid over his shoulders.
He had a Texas shirt on. I thought that was cool. Mad news, you got to dip out, man. Hey, man, I'll see you on Saturday. Appreciate it. Make sure you join the Discord and share the links and stuff like that. If you got Discord. If not, it's no big deal. Nick Sorter also shared this right here. Let me pause that. What? WTF, an MSNBC host just said she hopes 13-year-old cancer patient DJ Daniel doesn't self-end himself from having to deal with Trump supporters. These people are genuinely sick, in the head. Heartburn is crushing me. Sorry, guys.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ, and I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
We can't call for violence, but it would have been, I would have been okay if just she was on a random, punk TV show and a big old fat hand just sprung out from across the room and just slapped the shit out of her, like in Jackass or something right there. Because that was ridiculous. That was straight up evil. I mean, Are you seriously, lady? You're talking about a kid, man.
Well, it is a woman.
Never fails. That's awesome. Nick Sorter, man, he's on it, right? Like Tim Pool even shouted him out the other day. He's like, if you want news, just go to Nick Sorter. He's got it already.
Yeah, he made his claim to fame from the East Palestine incident.
Is that what it was? That's cool. That was the first thing that got traction on my YouTube channel. Was I covered that as like every turn that I could, short of going there. TNT said, I'm not going to lie. This kid made me tear up. The hug to the Secret Service guy. And today when he gave Trump a hug, or when he gave Trump a huge MAGA hug, choked me up. Bigly. I like the use of Bigly there. Let's see.
Yeah.
TNT was cutting onions at the same time I was. What a coincidence. You blow mo. So let's check this one out. This is Nick Sorter again, just in. The mother of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary, I think I said that name right, hopefully, who was slain by an illegal, just slammed Democrats for refusing to clap for her family, as well as Laken Riley's calling them cowards.
It's great to have you back. I think so much of you, and I've spoken to you a number of times, and I had you and your dad on this program with Senator Ted Cruz. Your old young man who became a member of the Secret Service with Sean Curran tonight, the new head of the Secret Service, which was a really special moment. This young man makes it into West Point tonight. All these incredible Americana optics that if they can't stand in a...
Sorry, guys, I'm skipping forward. I want to get to her talking. Sean Hannity, likes to talk.
Of innocence of
several times. I have
spoken with Donald Trump. And
okay, here we go.
Did you ever hear from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris?
I have met and spoken with President Donald Trump several times, and every time has been very humane, very fatherly, very caring, compassionate, and I've heard zero effort, zero of anything from the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, not one time. They never picked up a phone call. How, you know, people can only try to imagine what you feel and being in your position. You never overcome something.
Well, briefly, the reason why she didn't hear from Biden or his administration is because they knew it was their fault. They felt guilty, and they couldn't in their right mind call and be of any position to say anything other than this is my fault. So they avoided it. They didn't want to admit it.
Something like this, do you?
No,
Right.
you,
She's
the
12 years
pain
old too.
doesn't go away. The
Yeah, exactly.
hole doesn't fill. It just, you learn to deal with it more. But I am clinging on to my faith in Christ and Jesus, and He is who's getting me through with His strength.
Amen, Alexis. We're praying with you and for your daughter. Thank you so much for being with us.
So I kind of skipped through most of that because Sean Hannity likes to talk and it had that loud fan sound in the background and all that stuff. But basically, she said Democrats stand for anything humane, or Democrats don't stand for anything humane. They don't stand for us citizens. They don't stand for our security. They don't stand for our they don't stand for honorable things we need in this country. It's disgusting. And so, this is a person that's literally felt it as, the evil that the Biden administration has allowed to the max, to the most extreme point, right?
Yeah. No, with it though, I wanted to say I'm going to take off.
Okay.
Appreciate everybody for being here. Definitely, you can go to World's Chat if you guys want to all collide together for the last couple bits there. Christ is King, and I will see you guys on Saturday.
Thanks, dude. See you on Saturday, man.
Yes, sir. Peace out, everybody. Take care.
All right. So let's finish up some of these things here. We're going to move on to this post from Charlie Kirk. I like what Titan said, though. Dude, can we stop pretending that it would be hard to weed out all these idiots? I mean, I wish. It's just the resistance is so strong, man. It's it's ridiculous. But, it's hard. It's hard. It's painful. It's physically painful to leave the cult. So we got to understand that and make fun of them until they do. But Rachel Maddow says that President Trump celebrating a young cancer survivor, disgusting. For the record, well, I'll just let you hear it for yourself. Good old Rachel Maddow. She makes like $25 million a year or something like that to say shit like this.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a...
Let's start that over.
For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. For the record, and this is disgusting, the president made a spectacle out of praising...
Not as disgusting as your ugly ass. Good Lord. Can you believe people say this stuff on TV, get paid for it? What an asshole. Welcome all you guys to the moral side of chat. What were you guys calling it last time? I can't remember what you guys were calling it last time. Let's see here. Matthew LeBlanc wore the look better. That's funny. So this one is a post from Melanie Mack. Not sure who this is, but I'm following her. She don't follow me back though. What the heck? Better follow me back, Lee. No, just kidding. She says this cameraman needs a raise.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. We've ended the tyranny of so-called
I'm gonna let that play again.
equity and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military.
And it cuts to Ilhan Omar. And DEI. It's so good. Oh man. Okay. TT said Melanie Mack does the Quartering live shows. She's all right. Okay. I didn't know that. I've never watched the Quartering live, to be honest with you. I like his videos sometimes, but I don't watch his lives. I gotta admit, man, I don't know how the dude does 6 videos a day and a live. Like he must have multiple editors and people finding clips for him and everything like that, because it's not an easy thing. Respect to the guy, man. He does a lot of hard work. He's definitely working hard. That cut made me laugh. She looks like she's about to be executed. What's she wearing on her head? And then let's see here. This is okay. So his cane doesn't have a fist on it. I always thought his cane had a fist on it. I guess that was just Biff Tannen's in Back to the Future. But this is Al Green. Breaking: the House just voted 211 to 209 to proceed with a vote to censure Al Green for disrupting President Trump's speech. The censure vote will now likely take place tomorrow. Freaking good. And if you guys don't know, Al Green, when about 2 minutes, maybe not even that long into Trump's speech last night, he stood up and started just hooping and hollering. And Mike Johnson, the speaker, said, "Hey, look, if you guys keep disrupting, we're going to have the the master at arms or whatever, the guards basically escort you out." Al Green kept yapping, and he got himself escorted out by the boss, by the security. And so now it apparently looks like he might be censured tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think tomorrow. Yeah, he posted this today. So let's have a look at this clip real quick. He's right here. So yeah, he got himself escorted out last night, made an ass of himself. And this is the dude that has already introduced articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, which was for his comments, for Trump's comments about taking over Gaza, right? Which we know Trump says a lot of things that he doesn't actually do when it comes to this type of situation, because he's positioning for negotiation, right? Titan said the Quartering is a workhorse, just don't like his misogyny. I don't know how to say that word, sorry. You guys are too smart for me, man. Use big words. I've never seen that one in a crossword puzzle. Let's see here. Tix Bomber said, I used to like Quartering, but I grew old of 5-minute videos with 15-minute coffee ads. Yeah. You know, what's funny is I actually, I signed up for his, like, I'm one of these type of people where, you know, I'm all about the cause, right? And so I signed up for his news network. It was like $15 a month. I was in, you know, I did it for like 5 or 6 months. Can't remember what it was called. And I bought some of his coffee. Actually really liked one of his coffees, and then he quit selling it. So I was like, all right, well, which it was pretty overpriced anyways. It was like $20 a bag. But he quit selling it, so I quit buying his coffee. I actually get it from somebody else now. But yeah, he does a lot of commercials and self-promotion and stuff like that. But I understand it, man. It's one of those things. Let's see here. Chief of Staff arrested. House Speaker Mike Johnson's Chief of Staff, Hayden Haynes, was arrested and charged with drunk driving after hitting a parked car following President Trump's. He got a little too wildin'. That's pretty funny. Don't condone drinking and driving at all. Do not do it. It's really dumb this day and age, especially with Uber being so easily accessible and all these other companies. I'm giving free shout outs too. Tix Palmer says that guy's the epitome of cartoon character. He's literally playing a part, right? I saw memes of him next to little Eddie Munster with the widow's peak and stuff, which I can't talk much about the widow's peak. I got one too, but it was really funny. He looks like a werewolf. This dude looks like he could be a werewolf. Let's see here. All the coffees they sell can probably be bought off other sellers. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. So that's all I pretty much had on the Trump thing last night. I didn't save a whole bunch of clips of Trump speaking himself. I feel like most people actually watched that speech. It was the topic of conversation in my group chat. Every streamer was streaming it live. And I almost consider streaming it live myself. Probably should have, honestly. But sometimes you just want to sit back and watch. You know what I mean? Tix Bomber said he looks like Saddam Hussein's lookalike that talks. That's funny. Let's see here. But I did want to share this story with you. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna is referring all 4 mayors at today's hearing for criminal prosecution: Eric Adams, Mike Johnston, Brandon Johnson, and Michelle Wu. Quote, you are in direct violation of 8 U.S. Code 1324, and she's criminally referring you to the DOJ for investigation. These are going to Pam Bondi immediately. So let's hear what she actually had to say.
So you don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago? Or how about agencies, or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrants?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
To me, after this
Not
line of
federal.
questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8 Code subsection 1324, and is a federal offense. But you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled, which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people. And that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Would you yield your last minute?
Yes, sir.
So that was great, because that's the mayors of sanctuary cities basically being referred to Pam Bondi. She's already cut off funding to Chicago or Illinois. And so hopefully this becomes a trend, and these mayors learn their lesson that they can't go against the federal laws when it comes to our security, our national security, right? The federal government is in charge of keeping us safe, foreign and domestic, and states shouldn't be allowed to break laws and create safe havens for people that break the law to enter our country. I noticed that TNT says he drinks Euban. I think that's your coffee, right? I've been drinking this stuff called Melaleuca lately. They got a couple. I like the flavored coffees. Look, I'm a sucker for the flavored coffees, but they got like a hazelnut or something that I've been tearing up. But when it comes to like the drop shipping stuff, which I think is what a lot of these influencers are doing, is they're just drop shipping. It's just relabeling and rebranding of like the same stuff that other people are selling. It's just under their own like exclusive label and bag and stuff like that. But I will say selling consumables is much better than selling something like t-shirts because you run out of it and you buy it again, right? So, kudos to them for doing that. I haven't tried Ubin. Might give it a try. Yeah, Chicago has been a mess, that's for sure. They fostered what has turned into a hellscape. Yeah, I mean, they're the like biggest anti-gun law state, but yet they have the most gun crimes or something like that. When the fake refugee crisis popped off in Chicago, areas had gun violence go up by 80%. And that's a lot. That's saying something. No one even reported on it. Yeah, that's crazy. Of course they wouldn't, right? Mainstream media is in the bag for the Democrats. They're not going to say anything if it's going to go against their ideology, against their cult. They get kicked out of the cult and have to go fight the Badgers and stuff like that. That was a reference to the show I watched yesterday. If anybody watched that show, Ghosts, highly recommend it. Actually, it's really funny. But they had a little cult part of it yesterday where the ladies all had to go sleep with the cult leader while the husbands all had to go and guard the camp from Badgers or something like that. It was funny. It made me laugh. Let's see. So wrapping up, I wanted to share this last one with you. This is Trump. And, this is one of those red flags kind of scenarios with Trump. He's doing a lot of stuff that's good for us, but he's also, well, I'll just read it to you. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose, and this is from Donald Trump's X account. He posted this directly. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all the dead bodies of the people you murdered. Or it is over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning for the leadership. Now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also, to all the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision. Release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. President Donald J. Trump. And so I wish he kind of would take such a harsh stance to our own country, which, it's kind of weird to say because he's done so much for us. But this seems like a pretty hardline stance. No exceptions. And I don't know. And he just posted this at 5 p.m. It's 9:30 now. So, I mean, this is just this afternoon. A lot you see like Juanita Broderick, who's a right, person that's all over X. This is the strength we all voted for. Promises made, promises kept. And then here's a good one. See right here, our government is occupied by Israel. And that's kind of what I'm thinking a little bit more of on this post, because this hardline stance, I get it. You just met with the hostages. It touched your heart. You learned something. You experienced something, and now you're emotional and reacting. But isn't this for Israel to take care of? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't. He's acting like. I'm trying to be cautious here because of the area and the topic and whatever. You know how YouTube is, but the Bible says we're supposed to pray for Jerusalem. It doesn't necessarily say that we're supposed to defend it at all costs. So, I think I'll leave it with that. I think you guys get where I'm coming from. Trump's doing a great job, but we're not going to agree with everybody on everything. And this is one of those instances where, I kind of have a question. But let's see here. Did I miss anything in chat here? Excuse me. I forgot to mute myself. Oh, so you kind of put the dots together yourself on the crime there in Chicago. The only reason you put together the, sorry, highlighting it and it's making it disappear. The only reason I even put the dots together is because I was wondering why I was hearing so many stories on job sites about armed robberies. Wow, that's crazy, Titan. Yeah, TNT says we give more money every year to Muslim countries than Israel. Free the Americans. 100% agree with that. Middle East only responds to strength. Yeah, that's true. You got to speak their language, and that is death, power, and money, right? To the tyrants, at least. Definitely. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Appreciate everybody for being here. It's been an excellent stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. Make sure you do hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're watching over on X. Give me a follow. I see a lot of people are on Atlas's X, so make sure you follow him over there. Also, check out his YouTube channel. If all of you guys over there on X, all 62 of you, would go to his YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button, that would get him over 1,000, and that's a big milestone for anybody trying to make it happen on YouTube. So appreciate anybody that takes their time to do that. It's something you can do for free, and it's something that you can do that basically gives away Google's money, right? And so when you do that, it's always good. So anyways, appreciate everybody. I hope you guys have a good night. We'll see you on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And other than that, Christ is King. I hope everybody has a great week. I got 2 days left in the work week, so weekend will be here just before you know it. And I'll see you guys on Saturday.
Let's roll rolling Atlas Thug. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thug, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thug, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.